Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, good afternoon to you, everyone, and welcome to the biggest football show in the world. Welcome to Football Live. I'm Dean Kilford, and together with our fantastic team of reporters, we'll be bringing you the goals as they go in the biggest games across the footballing world. Now, throughout this afternoon, we'll be building towards the big game in the FA Cup quarter-final where Newcastle United travel to holders Manchester City. Now, earlier on today, a superb Midlands derby saw Coventry City score twice in injury time to become the first side in the hat for the semi-final draw. The Championship side were full value for their 3-2 victory today over Wolves. And if our feature game can come anywhere close to matching that, we are in for a treat today. There's also the small matter of a London derby between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur to look forward to. But before all of that, we've got two huge games featuring teams fighting for survival. And it'll be fascinating to see the response from Luton Town this afternoon. On Wednesday night, the Hatters became one of only 4 teams in Premier League history to lose a game after holding a 3-goal lead. That capitulation needs to be forgotten and quickly as they host Nottingham Forest this afternoon at Kenilworth Road. Any victory for Luton this afternoon would see them leapfrog their visitors, and with games against Tottenham, Arsenal and Manchester City to come, you feel the pressure is on in this one. Forest, though, were poor travellers and won just 2 of 24 fixtures away from home since their return to the Premier League. Luton Town also tend to find their net at home. Only once in the league this season have they failed to score. Hoping goals will be on the cards this afternoon. It's Football Live's Paul James. Good afternoon to you, Paul, with all the team news.
Good afternoon, Football Live listeners. Today, Luton make just one change from their 4-3 collapse against Bournemouth. Pelly, Ruddock and Panzu comes in for Daiki Hashioka. And for Nottingham Forest, there's 3 changes for them. Willy Bolly comes in for Andrew Omobamidele. Ibrahim Sangara comes in for Danilo. And Anthony Alanga comes in for Nicolas Dominguez, with Nigerian hotshot Taiwo Awoniyi injured. Luton versus Nottingham Forest kickoffs in about 12 minutes' time.
Brilliant stuff, Paul. How big a game is this one for both teams? Of course, relegation looming over the shoulders. Luton, how are they going to respond, do you think, to that catastrophic collapse against Bournemouth in midweek?
Well, Luton at the moment are running at they're running at a goals against average of over 2 goals per game. So they're going to have to tighten up defensively. There's no system change from Rob Edwards, just the one change. So he obviously keeps faith in much of the side that took part against Bournemouth. As for Forest, they've got the points deduction looming over their head, so that may play a factor into all of this. They desperately need a win today because that matter could be resolved on Monday.
And for Luton Town, what's changed for them? Just a few weeks ago, they were going to St James's Park scoring 3s. Of course, they were seemingly on the road to salvation. But the goals seem to keep going in the back of their net, but they don't seem to be scoring any. Or as many.
They've just got Chris Wood back injured, and Chris Wood, of course, is their leading goal scorer this season. But also Taiwo Awoniyi has been injured as well. Taiwo has 6 goals this season. Chris Wood has 8. Now, I think what Nuno Espirito Santo wants to do is to have both of them playing up front at the same time. But the problem is, of course, that either one or the other is injured.
Indeed, yes, and of course, Football Live listeners here will know very well the striking prowess of Awoniyi, the Nottingham Forest striker. Well, Paul James, thank you very much. We'll be with you for all of the action from Kenilworth Road, Luton Town taking on Nottingham Forest, a big game at the foot of the Premier League table. Now another team that find themselves in the relegation zone are Burnley. They find themselves 10 points from safety, and last weekend showed us why, because they threw away a 2-goal lead at the London Stadium and were fortunate in the end to get away with a 2-2 draw against West Ham United. That result means that Burnley have now thrown away a staggering 20 points from winning positions this season. Home has certainly not been a happy place for Burnley either, as they've amassed only 5 points, and one of those just 1 victory from their 14 games at Turf Moor. Their visitors today, Brentford, are looking nervously over the shoulders themselves. Despite a gutsy performance against league leaders Arsenal last time out, that 2-1 defeat saw the Bees extend their winless league run to 5 games. Brentford won the reverse fixture 2-0 back in October, and a similar result today would not only ease relegation fears but also complete a first league double over the Clarets since the 1934-1935 season. Nearly 90 years ago. Senior reporter Billy Andrews is nowhere near that age, but he's positioned at Turf Moor for us this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Billy.
Good afternoon, Dean. That's right. Still quite a spring chicken at Turf Moor today, and Vincent Kompany makes one change to the side that threw away that 2-goal lead to West Ham. James Trafford had been the only Burnley player to have started all 28 games this season, but that run is over as he has been left on the bench, and Aro Muric comes in to make his first ever Premier League appearance for Burnley. Brentford make two changes as Christian Norgard and Lewis Potter miss out, and Matthias Jensen comes into central midfield as Sergio Reguilon back from injury to start at left back. The birthday boy Ivan Toney, 28 today, will be hoping for a happy birthday away at Turf Moor, and if you fancy him to score his birthday on NairaBet, he's 4.60 to score first. So a massive game, a must win, you have to say, for Burnley. Kick off in just under 10 minutes.
Brilliant. And for Burnley, surely today it's win or bust for them. I seem like we're saying that every single week for Burnley, and they can't keep finding that victory. But has it been naive from Vincent Kompany this season? They've got a way of playing football, and they haven't changed it. Is that admirable, or is it naive?
Probably a little bit naive. I think you look at the way that Rob Edwards has changed the way Luton played compared to last season. I know they're third from bottom, but they still have 21 points compared to the 14 that Burnley have. So good, Burnley, last season, that blitzed the Championship, which isn't easy in the slightest. See how difficult Leicester are finding it. But yeah, you have to adapt to the way the Premier League's played to stay up. There's no point in being a yo-yo team and going up and down every couple of years. And it looks like it's going to be Championship football next year again for Burnley.
And from Brentford's point of view, it's been a bit of a sort of a reality check for them this season. Since their arrival into the Premier League from the Championship, they've kind of taken the Premier League by storm. They've been one of those higher-end mid-table teams. This season, if it hadn't been for the poor forms of the Sheffield Uniteds and Burnleys, then they could probably be looking more nervously over the shoulders than they already are.
Yeah, that's right. And, if Everton hadn't got that points deduction, they'd be below them as well. And probably lucky with the points deduction for Everton wasn't. They weren't given the full 10 points back. They're probably lucky that Forest are probably going to get one. I think for the rest of the season, they have to try and get the most they can out of Ivan Toney to get a maximum amount of money from him when he eventually leaves in the summer, because that's what it's looking like, and that's what he keeps saying is going to happen.
Yes, it's kind of a big blow, but they have coped for the majority of this season without him, and it's almost bringing him back as maybe been a bit of a distraction and ruined a bit of the flow and the momentum that Thomas Frank had with this Brentford side.
Quite possibly. It is worth noting that Brian Mbeumo is back on the bench after that injury that he sustained a few months ago, so that's going to be a massive help and a massive lift to have the likes of this Toney and potentially Mbeumo in a front three for the run-in. So there are positive steps being taken. Sergio Reguilon back from injury, that they missed him, I think. And yeah, they're a good side, Brentford. I don't think they're in any danger of being relegated. And worth noting as well that the Nigerian Frank Onyeka starts in midfield this afternoon as well.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Billy. We'll kick off just over 6 minutes' time. All of the action, all of the goals we'll be bringing you from that big game between Burnley and Brentford. Let's switch our attentions to La Liga. And Real Madrid's restored their 7-point lead at the top of the league, I should say, last weekend, with a dominant 4-0 win over Celta Vigo. And today they travel to an Osasuna side that have lost every game this season when they faced a team starting inside the top 5. If that wasn't a bad enough omen, it's now 20 games since the Rizos tasted victory against Los Blancos. The reverse fixture finished 4-0 to Madrid with a certain Jude Bellingham at the double at the Bernabeu. He won't feature today, though. He's still serving the second of a 2-game ban following that red card in the aftermath of the controversial disallowed goal once the final whistle had blown in the 2-2 draw with Valencia. A rare victory for the host this afternoon could see them propel themselves back in the race for a European spot come the end of the season. In place at Estadio El Sadar is Ethan Gardner. Hello and welcome to you, Ethan.
Hello, Dean, and good afternoon to all the Football Live listeners. Yes, Real Madrid find out, of course, this week that they'll be facing Manchester City in the next round of the Champions League. And if they don't quite fancy that, as you've correctly pointed out, they do hold a 7-point lead in La Liga. And in their continued pursuit of the title, they travel away to Osasuna today. They make 3 changes from that 4-0 win over Celta Vigo last week. Toni Kroos comes in for Luka Modric, Dani Carvajal for Vasquez at right back, and Aurelien Tchouameni comes in at centre-back for Nacho Fernandez. Now, Osasuna won't be any pushovers. They have won 3 of their last 5 in the league. And of course, as you said, they can push for an outsider's chance at a European slot this season. They've made 2 changes. They did lose last time out to Girona, but since then they've taken out Oroz and Ruben Garcia and brought in Moy Gomez and Arnaiz to attempt to give them their best chance at a win against Real Madrid for that first time in 20. Kick-off in about 20 minutes here at the El Sadar Stadium between Osasuna and Real Madrid.
Thank you, Ethan. With the draw for the Champions League, for Real Madrid, that's a trophy that's synonymous with them. They are the record holders in that competition. Do you think their focus could be swayed towards that competition? They could just allow the likes of Barcelona and Girona to get themselves back into the title race?
Well, potentially. They have got a bit of a gap in the Liga, but it would be entertaining to see Girona continue their push towards the Liga, so that would be quite nice. And Real Madrid, it's going to be an incredibly difficult fixture. As you say, they're synonymous with the Champions League, so they'll want to do well, especially knowing that they've got this cushion. So perhaps they could get a bit complacent with that if they really go for it, and could be a chance, for Girona and Barcelona to slip in unnoticed and try and sneak that La Liga title off of them.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much, Ethan. Kick-off in just over 15 minutes' time in La Liga. A game just finished, incidentally, as Mallorca beat Granada by 1-0, and it was a late goal by Relo. 5 minutes from time, the big defender coming up, scoring a header from a corner to give the home side all 3 points in that one. And that result means that... for Mallorca, it just pushes them away from Cadiz in those relegation places. So a big result for them in their potential survival in the Liga. The full-time whistle has also just gone in the game between Everton women and Aston Villa women. And it's Aston Villa women that have come away with the victory. And there's been a big goal in the Bundesliga.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Where Darmstadt have taken the lead against Bayern Munich. Tim Skark has given the host the lead in what could be a big shock in the Bundesliga. Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 0. You heard me right. The same Bayern Munich side that scored 8 last week against Mainz are trailing by 1-0 against struggling Darmstadt, a Darmstadt side who are currently bottom of the Bundesliga. A big shock for Harry Kane and all in the Bundesliga, but early stages still yet. Speaking of Champions League, Bayern Munich have been paired with Arsenal. So Harry Kane returns to North London to take on his former bitter rivals. We'll elaborate a bit more on that throughout the show and the rest of the Champions League draw as well. But we have, of course, a few games kicking off in just a couple of minutes' time. It should get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, good afternoon, Dean. Good afternoon, everyone here. Football Live, the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Just about to kick off in the English Premier League. So, Brentford against Burnley. Brentford, they are 3.10 for the home win. The draw is 3.50, and away win for Brentford is 2.25. Luton against Forest, big game for both teams. Luton are 2.62, likewise Forest, and the draw is 3.50. Later on, Fulham against Spurs. Let's touch on that quickly. Fulham are 3.30 for the win. The draw is 3.80, and away win for Spurs is 2.05. 5. Also later on today, Manchester City at home to Newcastle in English FA Cup. We shall be covering all the game live later on. Manchester City are 1.25 for the win. The draw is 6.50, and away win for Newcastle is 10.0. Of course, that game is, these odds on this game are for 90 minutes only, as it might go to extra time. This is not includes the extra time, only for the first 90 minutes. As you just heard from Dean Kilford, Bayern Munich are losing to Darmstadt after 30 minutes. Darmstadt are 1-0 up. However, Bayern Munich, as expected, they're still favourites. They are 1.44 to turn it around, 4.75 for the draw, and Darmstadt to carry on winning this game is 7.0. However, that game will probably see plenty of goals. And if you think Bayern Munich will turn it around in the first half and win the first half, at the moment they are 5.0, so it's still very low price, but good enough price for Bayern Munich, and we've seen it happen before. And also, if you think in the first half, the goals, if you think it's going to be over 2.5 goals, regardless of who scores it in the first half, in that game is 3.50. Let's go back again for the English Premier League. Now, both teams to score is quite a popular one. So if you think both teams to score in the game between Burnley and Brentford, that's 1.60, and between Luton and Forest is 1.57. Of course, all this prices from Narabet and is all subject to change.
Brilliant, sake. Thank you very much. As always, John Kane, they give us the latest odds powered by NairaBet. The whistles have started to blow around the English Premier League. We've kicked off in the game at Turf Moor, Burnley versus Brentford. We've also kicked off at Kenilworth Road, Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. We've told you about that Darmstadt goal against Bayern Munich. There are 4 other games going on in the Bundesliga right now, all of which are about half an hour gone. Heidenheim 0, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Mainz 0, Bochum 0. Mainz, of course, trying to recover from that shell shock thrashing by Bayern Munich last weekend. Union Berlin 0, Werder Bremen 0, and Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 0. Wimmer with the goal after 9 minutes, giving Wolfsburg the lead in that one. It's half-time in Serie A. Monza 1, Cagliari 0. Maldini with the goal just before the break to give the home side the lead there. And Udinese 0, Torino 1. Zapata's goal after 10 minutes giving the visitors the lead in that game in Serie A. It's also finishing the English Championship, the lunchtime kickoff between Swansea and Cardiff. Big Welsh derby going on there, and it finished Swansea 2, Cardiff 0. It was Liam Cullen who opened the scoring midway through the first half for Swansea City, and a late second goal by Jamal Lowe, Jamaican Jamal Lowe, sealed all 3 points in the 6th minute of added time. Big result for Swansea. Those fans were certainly cheering long into the night. For momentarily, it saw Swansea leapfrog Watford in the table up to 14th place. But depending on how that game goes, they may well remain in 15th come the end of the afternoon. Let's go and check in with the game at Turf Moor. Burnley taking on Brentford. A tight, tense one. All goals on the cards. How's it looking in the early stages of this one, Billy Andrews?
Well, in a word, quite scrappy. Odebear has just been fouled by Onyeka, so there's a free kick for Burnley in the centre circle, but difficult and struggling both teams to keep the ball, really. They're giving away silly possession. I noticed it when Burnley played last weekend. They gave the ball away so cheaply, and they're doing it again today from their own free kick. Just some loose touches and it's back with Brentford. So Thomas Frank will need his team to settle down. There's just been a penalty shout as well for Burnley. It's not been given, so if you want to come back when I have more information, VAR will of course be checking this. I will let you know about this penalty shout once I've had some word from VAR.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Billy Andrews. Burnley versus Brentford, potential early penalty shout there. Look forward to clearing that one up. Let's go and check in at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town taking on Nottingham Forest. A huge game at the foot of the Premier League. This one you'd expect to potentially be a shaky, nervy start, Paul James. Is that the way it started?
No, well, actually not. Nottingham Forest have started very positively. They've got into Luton's penalty area on a couple of different occasions. Chris Wood causing some chaos in that Luton penalty area, holding the ball up, laying the ball off for Morgan Gibbs-White. No shots on goal yet, but Nottingham Forest looking very positive early on. Still 0-0, 4 minutes gone.
So thank you very much, Paul James. Still waiting. VR still checking that incident going on between Burnley and Brentford. So potentially could be an early penalty in that game. Let's just go and talk about the epic FA Cup game between Wolves and Coventry City. But before I do that, I've got to tell you about another goal in the Bundesliga.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
John Kane gave you the odds, the latest odds powered by NairaBet to see whether Bayern Munich could turn this game around before half-time. Well, they are halfway there. Musiala with the goal 10 minutes before the break to make it. Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 1. Game very much on in that one. Bottom of the table, Darmstadt. Second in the table, Bayern Munich. The scores are level. 10 minutes before the restart. There'll be a few minutes for added time as well. They are checking the assistants. The referee's been sent to the screen, I believe. And Billy Andrews can give us an update on the potential penalty decision in the game between Burnley and Brentford, Billy.
So what's happened, Dean, is Sergio Reguilon has gone through the back of Vitinha. And Vitinha's got the ball at his feet. It's clumsy from Sergio Reguilon. He's gone through the back and Vitinha has gone over. I'm not sure how Darren Bond has missed it. It was quite close. He was just outside the area when it occurred. But this is why we have VAR. He's been sent to the screen, but they are just checking if Vitinha is offside in the build-up. So they are looking, well, what it looks like an excuse to not give a penalty. It's a clear foul from Reguilon, so there's no debate about that. So now it's just about the offside and still checking the monitor, Darren Bond. Gonna take a while. If you want to come back to me,
Billy. Absolutely. This is we saw this earlier in the Wolves Coventry game. Coventry City's opening goal 10 minutes after the restart. Ellis Sims, the corner came towards the back post. It hit his chest. We weren't sure if it came off the top of his arm, it was unclear. VAR took 5 minutes to give that decision. Well, VAR have taken 5 minutes to decide whether Burnley should have had a penalty, and it's been given. So Burnley have a penalty, a crucial penalty in a must-win game as far as they're concerned. They've got the opportunity to take the lead from the penalty spot inside the opening 8 minutes. So Burnley have a penalty in that game. Whilst we wait to hear the outcome of that penalty, let's just recap that's a fantastic earlier FA Cup quarter-final. As I said, Ellis Sims gave Coventry City the lead. It was a 5-minute VAR check for that goal. Eventually, it was given. Sims bonded over. Coventry City should have scored 2 or 3, and there's actually been a red card as well. Serge Reguilon. Let's go and check in with Billy Andrews just to clarify that for us. Is it Serge Reguilon that's seen red?
It is Sergio Reguilon that's seen red, and I can explain why and describe the foul to you now. So Vitinha is no one around him to begin with when he first takes the ball down. Reguilon has come through the back of him. His left knee has gone through the back of Vitinha's right leg. So he's taken him out, then 2 hands on the back and pushed him over. So that'll go down as a professional foul. He's only just gone back from injury, Sergio Reguilon, and now he's banned for 3 matches. Billy from the on-loan Tottenham man. And now there's a great chance for Burnley to put some demons behind them and take a 1-0 lead in a must-win game at Turf Moor.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Billy, just for clearing that one up for us. So, horrid afternoon on his return to first-team football for Serge Reguilon. He has been sent off, and I can tell you the penalty's been taken. And the penalty...
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
The jingle tells you everything you need to know. The goal has been scored. Jacob Brun Larsen from 12 yards has given Burnley a big lead against Brentford. Burnley 1, Brentford 0. The Clarets leading the Bees and it's all down to Jacob Brun Larsen. Let's also bring up to some other scores elsewhere. Torino have scored a second goal against Udinese. Vlasic with the goal just after the restart. There's also been a chance in the game featuring Luton Town and Nottingham Forest. Let's go and hear about that chance with Paul James.
Yes, well, it's a good chance for Luton. It was laid off by Chidozie Ogbeni to Carlton Morris. He was about 20 yards out. He struck the shot, and Matt Sells was scrambling to his left to make the save. It's still 0-0 with 10 minutes gone here.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join on the corner where the big boys play.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
And it's time to get straight into the action.
Oh, they've left it late. They've left it so late.
What an absolute beauty. Fantastic save.
It's game, set and match.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air.
Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Coming up tomorrow on Football Live. Manchester United against Liverpool.
Yeah!
Around the grounds, chasing the goal.
1, 2, 3, run it!
The Premier League, the Bundesliga.
Serie A, the Saudi Pro League, La Liga, French League 1.
Let it hit them.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
A good type of game of football.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, let's go and hear about that big Burnley goal with Billy Andrews.
It's a fantastic penalty from Brun Larsen. Flecken goes the right way, but it's into the side netting of the left-hand side of the goal. Fantastic with his right foot. But Burnley have suddenly woken up into a completely different beast. Josh Cullen's just whipped in a fantastic cross, but there's absolutely no one in there to take advantage of it. Thomas Frank needs to do something to get his players focused. He needs to do it quickly, or they're going to get blown away at Turf Moor. 13 minutes gone. It's Burnley 1, Brentford 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Of course, one thing to be wary of if you're a Burnley fan, no team has dropped more points from winning positions than Burnley. It's a position they found themselves in many times this season. And it's a position they have squandered many times this season. But hopefully, from the Clarets' point of view, they will not do that, and they will hold on for all 3 crucial points this afternoon. Another team searching for 3 crucial points are Luton Town, and they've come oh so close to taking the lead against Nottingham Forest, Paul James.
Yes, absolutely. What play by Ross Barkley. He beats Ibrahim Sangara and Ryan Yates. From 25 yards out, smashes a venomous effort that easily beats Matt Sells and hits the foot of the post. Luton coming so close. Despite Forest's great start, Luton have now started to come into the game and have started to create chances. There's 13 minutes gone. It's Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. Hibs have scored 2 quick goals at home to Livingston in the Scottish Premiership. Beta and Mayor Leader, 2 goals in 90 seconds have given Hibs a 2-0 lead in the Scottish Premiership. There's also been a goal in... There hasn't been a goal, it's just been ruled out, sorry. I thought it'd been a goal in the Championship, but a goal was ruled out. Norwich City haven't taken the lead against Stoke City. Still goalless in that game, still goalless in all the games in the English Championship. and goalless in all games, but the Hibs-Livingston game in the Scottish Premiership as well. We're closing into kickoff in the game in La Liga. Osasuna taking on Real Madrid. Earlier on, Mallorca beat Granada by a 0-0. And in the Turkish Superliga, Alanyaspor beats Kayserispor by a 0-0. And it was a late goal, the 13th minute of stoppage time, no doubts for Adim. Alanyaspor had 2 goals disallowed, including one in stoppage time in that game. Both were offside, but they have eventually found a way to find the breakthrough and get the late winner, and it doesn't get much later than the 103rd minute. And there's been another goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And sometimes you should just listen to John Kane. It's now Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 2. Who else but Harry Kane in the first minute of added time? He's broken the league record for most goals in a debut season in the Bundesliga. It's his 31st league goal of the season to make it Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 2. They were 5.00 to make the turnaround happen before the interval, and they've completed that. John Kane thought the odds were a bit short. Well, the odds were there for the taking, and the odds possibly should well have been taken. Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 2, and they are now potentially going to put pressure on Bayer Leverkusen at the top of the Bundesliga. It has now kicked off in the game in Spain. Osasuna versus Real Madrid. We'll join Ethan Gardner for any updates as we get them from that. Meanwhile, let's go and check back in to Turf Moor to see how Brentford have responded. Have they rejigged anything, or is it still a Burnley onslaught, Billy?
It's calmed down a little bit, Dean, but set pieces look to be Brentford's best way of getting back into this game. They had a free kick on the far side, loaded the box. It was a good delivery in, but the flag went up straight away. There's about 4 or 5 of them all offside, so they need to be switched on more. They need to wake up. Not finding Ivan Toney or Johan Visser at all, really are struggling. And now without Sergio Reguilon, they've lost that width that he provided, because of course they don't play with wingers when they don't play without Brian and Mbeumo. So need to change something, need to rejig something, does Thomas Frank. But slowly but surely they're building into this game. But Burnley very much on top at the moment, still 1-0.
Thank you very much. Straight back to Kenilworth Road. It seems like it's going to be a topsy-turvy afternoon, Paul James.
Yes, big chance for Nottingham Forest. A really wonderful slide rule pass by Ryan Yates through to Divock Origi. One-on-one with Thomas Kaminski. Lifts the ball over the Belgian goalkeeper. It's rolling towards the goal, but it just rolls the wrong side of the post, and it's picked up, and it stays 0-0 with 17 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Paul. There's been an early goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's taken just 4 minutes for Los Blancos to take the lead. Osasuna with a wretched record against Real Madrid. They're 20 since their last victory. It's going to look like it's going to be 21. Vinicius Jr. with the goal. That makes it Osasuna 0, Real Madrid 1. Big goal in the title race at the top of La Liga. Let's go and hear about that goal with Ethan Gardner.
And it's a horrible mistake from Osasuna centre-back Alejandro Catania. He was on his own at the back. The ball came to him. They were just passing it around the back, Osasuna, and he's tackled by Vinicius. Vinicius then sprints past him. We know how quick the Brazilian winger is, and he's in one-on-one with the goalkeeper, slots it away coolly and calmly, but the goal came from nowhere. Osasuna really hadn't been troubled yet until this massive defensive error. And now, after 4 minutes, they find themselves already a goal down. After 4 minutes, it's Osasuna 0, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much, Ethan. It could be a long, long afternoon for those Osasuna fans in attendance. We've had our first goal in the English Championship. Ipswich 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. Amari Hutchinson with the goal, the former Chelsea youngster, breaking the deadlock in that one as Ipswich Town looks to put pressure on Leicester City at the top of the championship. A couple of late goals at the end of the first half in the Bundesliga. Of course, we told you about that Harry Kane goal, which saw things turn around in the game between Darmstadt and Bayern Munich. Mainz have also taken the lead against Bochum. 3 minutes into added time, a penalty from Burkhardt has given the home side the lead. Mainz 1, Bochum 0 is the latest score. Augsburg have also equalised against Wolfsburg. Mayer with the goal 3 minutes into added time as well. That game is now at the half-time interval. Let's go back down to the game at Turf Moor. Burnley versus Brentford. Last time we heard, Brentford was starting to get their act together, and they almost found themselves an equaliser, Billy.
They did indeed. It's a foul on Frank Onyeka by Josh Cullen, just inside the Burnley half. It's whipped in this time. Another fantastic delivery. They time their runs better, and it's the birthday boy Ivan Toney with a free header from 15 yards, but it's wayward and doesn't trouble Muric at all. Not one bit. They're going to have to take those chances when they come, but they're getting there. They're slowly building something, Brentford. They're still 1-0 to the home side.
Thank you, Billy. Just a little word on Ivan Toney, back in the England squad for the friendlies coming up next weekend. Is there real time? In fact, I'll join you very, very shortly, Billy. I'll catch up about that momentarily, because there's been another goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We wondered if it was going to be a long afternoon for those Osasuna fans, but maybe not. Budimir has equalised just 3 minutes after that Vinicius opener to make it Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 1. So Osasuna showing plenty of fight, and they've got themselves an equaliser just a couple of minutes after going behind. Let's go and hear about that goal with Ethan Gardner.
Osasuna are level, and it's the man with the most goals this season on the pitch, Ante Budimir, who makes it 16 for the season for the Osasuna striker. It comes from a corner for the hosts. It was quite nicely worked, actually. Flicked across the box to the back post and then played back across on the volley. The ball bounced and fell to the Croatian striker's feet, and he slots it into an empty net because Real Madrid keeper Lunin was nowhere to be seen. And after 6 minutes, what a game this has started out to be. Osasuna, well, we thought they'd have a long afternoon going 1-0 down, but not at all, showing some fight early on. After 7 minutes, it's now Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 1.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Ethan. So Real Madrid with that comfortable early lead. Maybe they weren't quite expecting. Maybe they took their eye off the ball, thinking that this was going to be a foregone conclusion. Maybe they had one eye already thought on that big Champions League quarter-final game that they'll have to face against Manchester City. One of the other English clubs that got themselves through this week were Arsenal. It took penalties for them to get through against Porto. Mikel Arteta spoke to Football Live after that big win that saw them progress and set up a quarter-final tie against Bayern Munich.
What we expected, a really tough opponent, really well organized, very difficult to generate constant momentum in the game and the way they play, and that's credit to them. We did it, we scored a beautiful goal. From there we insisted, probably in different ways, that the way the game allows as well. And it's a huge experience for us. We had to do it at the end through the penalties. We prepared well, credit to the coaches as well, when they've done it, and obviously for David, that had some difficult moments to start, but he stood up with incredible personality and ambition, and at the end he got rewarded in his moment.
And he got rewarded, and Arsenal were rewarded with a big game and a big tie in which they will take on none other than Harry Kane, a former rival, and Bayern Munich. We led into that interview with Real Madrid having just conceded a goal. They almost retook the lead, Ethan Gardner.
Well, they should be 2-1 up, and it was Vinicius Jr. again with the chance. He found himself one-on-one with the goalkeeper after a fantastic ball from Antonio Rudiger, of all people. He was in, as I say, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Just tried a little bit too hard with some step-overs to put the goalkeeper off, but Osasuna's number 1, Sergio Herrera, stands strong in goal to deny Los Blancos' number 7. And after 9 minutes, it remains Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Just going back to the Champions League, of course, big game. They're all big games at this stage of the competition. PSG versus Barcelona. Will Kylian Mbappe feature? That's the big question potentially coming out of France for that one. Not featured since his proposed move to Real Madrid come the end of the season. Of course, Barcelona, Real Madrid's big rivals. Maybe he'll want to do his new club a favour against their rivals in the Champions League. And the other game features Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. Atletico Madrid, no strangers to success in the Liga in recent years, but would like to get their hands on the Champions League trophy, as would Borussia Dortmund, of course. Who have had their name on this, or have had their hands on this trophy, not too distant past. Let's go back to Turf Moor. Burnley against Brentford. Brentford were starting to get themselves into this game. Is it going to be another case of deja vu for these Burnley fans, and they're going to see another lead slip through their fingers, Billy Andrews?
Well, it's absolutely crazy from Burnley. Dara O'Shea plays a shocking pass back to Muric. He has to sort of scamper back and slide it off his own goal line. He was inches away from going over. And then another clearance from the Burnley defenders. It's like they're intent on giving this lead away. Another clearance. It fell to Turney, who cut inside and drilled a low shot, but it was well tipped away by Muric around the corner of the post. It's like they've hit the self-destruct button, this Burnley defence. They're 1-0 up, they've got a man advantage, and yet they're intent on doing everything they can to give this lead away. Absolutely shocking from the Burnley defenders, but good from Muric to pluck his defenders out of some problem. But still 1-0 to Burnley, but they're going to give it away if they don't switch on.
Oh dear indeed. Those Burnley fans looking on nervously, how they should be looking with confidence against 10-man Brentford. Norwich City have taken the lead away at Stoke. Josh Sargent with the goal midway through the first half, and Aberdeen have also taken the lead against Motherwell away from home. Leighton Clarkson with the goal after 25 minutes to give the visitors the lead. The visitors, of course, who without a man in charge at this moment in time, following the shock resignation of Neil Warnock after they progressed in the Scottish Cup last weekend. So I was trying to tell you about the FA Cup quarter-final game that featured this lunchtime. I told you about that controversial goal for Ellis Sims, long VAR check, which was eventually given. The ruling on the field was the verdict. The VAR was inconclusive. The ruling on the pitch was a goal. And that's what they went with in the end, and that's how it should be. It just took them 6 minutes to get there. Coventry City, full value for that lead, and really should have been 2 or 3 up before Nori, who'd been switched from his right-back position up to a centre-forward place, equalised with 7 minutes to go. And then 5 minutes later, Bueno, what we thought was going to be the winner with 2 minutes from time to give Wolves the lead, very much against the run of play. But 7 minutes into added time, and most of these added minutes were for that VAR check. Ellis Sims scored his second of the afternoon to make it 2 apiece. Right then, you thought the full-time whistle was going to go. We're going to go to extra time. But no, Coventry had other ideas, and the American Haji Wright, Coventry's top scorer, came up with the winner in the 10th minute of added time to make it Wolves 2, Coventry 3. Coventry, of course, FA Cup winners in 1987, are through to the semi-finals. The Championship side will definitely be in the FA Cup semi-final, and that name is Coventry City. It's certainly a sky blue day in the Midlands. Norwich have scored a quick second, Gabriel Sara, to make it 2-0 away at Stoke City. And let's go and hear about another Real Madrid chance against Osasuna with Ethan Gardner.
Yeah, it's another chance for Real. Things have quietened down a little bit here, but that doesn't mean the chances aren't still flowing for both sides. And it was a corner this time for Real Madrid, which was floated into the box. And it was a header from Aurelien Tchouameni, who's playing out of position at centre-back today to cover for some injuries, who headed over the bar. Real Madrid will be looking to retake the lead in this one. They want to maintain their lead at the top of La Liga in this final game before the international break. After 14 minutes, it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 1.
Thank you very much, Ethan. We're half-time in all of the games in the Bundesliga. Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 2. Darmstadt took the lead in that game. Skarka with the goal after 28 minutes. Then Musiala and Harry Kane completed a 9-minute turnaround. And Bayern Munich could reduce the gap on Bayer Leverkusen to just 7 points at the top of the Bundesliga if that result stays that way. Heidenheim 0, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Mainz 1, Bochum 0, Union Berlin 0, Werder Bremen 0, and Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 1. Wolfsburg had the lead in that game, but then Wimmer was sent off. Patrick Wimmer, the Austrian, that is, was sent off in the final minutes. And then Meyer came up and scored to level things up in the 3rd minute of added time to make it Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 1. With about 20 minutes left to go in our games in Serie A. Monza 1, Calgary 0, and Udinese 0, Torino 2. Let's go back to the game at Turf Moor, where it's all Brentford, Billy Andrews.
That's right, the 10 men in full control of this game at Turf Moor. Burnley look absolutely clueless with 11 players on the pitch. They could have 13, and I'd wager they'd still be clueless with the way they're playing. I'm not entirely sure what they do on the training ground during the week with Vincent Kompany, but I've seen the replay and the goal line technology video from that pass back from Dara O'Shea that Muric cleared off his own line. The ball is halfway over the line, 2 or 3 inches further to his left. Muric doesn't get there, and that's an equaliser gifted to Brentford, who already, the way they're playing, don't need any more gifts from Burnley. They've had a couple already, but they haven't capitalised on them. Burnley really do need to wake up. The crowd are getting restless at Turf Moor. It's still 1-0 to the home side.
I bet earlier when I was going to ask you about Ivan Toney, included in the England squad. Do you think he's got a realistic chance of getting his name on Gareth Southgate's playing this summer?
I think if he keeps playing to a level that we know he can play at, it's going to be difficult if Brentford aren't creating the chances for him. He's a good striker. I think with the likes of Calvert-Lewin not really finding any space, Ollie Watkins is doing very well. The name that surprised me that didn't get on there was Dominic Solanke. That was the shock that wasn't picked for the upcoming friendlies. But I think Ivan Toney's got a good chance of being in there. You think you're 1-1 or something in a quarter-final and you need another striker to bring on. He's the perfect kind of player, uses his elbows a bit. So I think it's a good addition to that England side.
Indeed, of course, and if we ever need someone to take a penalty in a penalty shootout, he has a pretty good record in that case as well, doesn't he?
He does indeed. He's fantastic from the penalty spot. You think back to the Euros against Italy, maybe instead of Sancho or Rashford or Saka, if we'd had an Ivan Toney to take a penalty, things could have turned out a little bit differently. So it's always good to have those players on the bench ready to play for their country.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. There's been a 3rd goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Where Daniel Carvajal has restored Madrid's lead. Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2. Los Blancos back on top. Let's go and hear about it with Ethan Gardner.
Oh, it's a lovely, well-worked goal from Los Blancos. The ball was played down the left-hand side. Brahim Diaz flicks it over the top. Valverde turns. He plays it across the box. And captain Dani Carvajal comes rushing in on the outside of the boot. Half volley into the top left-hand corner. Just a nonchalant little flick from the experienced right back for Real Madrid. It's a really nice way to retake the lead, and they are starting to dominate this match in truth, so perhaps it is deserved. After 18 minutes, it is now Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Let's go straight back to Kenilworth Road. Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. How have we not had a goal, Paul James?
Well, you might well ask, Dean, because Forest had a free kick on the edge of the box where Issa Kabore was booked. It was over the top from Morgan Gibbs-White, but then what an opportunity for Divock Origi, who was played through one-on-one, and it was a good save, and we need to go back to you because it looks like there's been a goal.
Indeed, let's hit that jingle.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We were asking how we hadn't had a goal at Kenilworth Road. Well, now we have. It's Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, and what a big goal that is at the foot of the English Premier League. It's that man, Chris Woods, who we spoke about before the game, back in the starting lineup, back from injury and back amongst the goals. And it could be just Nottingham Forest's third away victory in the Premier League since their promotion a year ago. Let's go and hear about that opening goal with Paul James.
Well, it's certainly been coming, hasn't it? And Morgan Gibbs-White got into the penalty area. He whipped the ball in from the right-hand side, and it left Chris Wood with a very easy tap-in. It's very poor defending by Luton. He comes between two defenders to put that ball into the net, and it's his 9th goal of the season for Chris Wood. It's 1-0 Nottingham Forest with 34 minutes gone.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join Corner where the big boys play.
Calling all high flyers who fancies a free flight on us. Naira Vegas are making it rain with 1 million, yes, 1 million free flights on Aviator. Claim unlimited flights with no minimum stake. The sky's the limit. Every day it will randomly rain free flights through the chat feature. Simply place your bets on Aviator and watch it rain free flights in the chat. Make sure you board the plane. You wouldn't want to miss out on a maximum multiplier of times 250,000. Full terms and conditions apply. Must click claim in the chat to be rewarded. Free flights for Aviator only. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
And it's time to get straight into the action.
Oh, they've left it late. They've left it so late.
What an absolute beauty.
Fantastic save.
It's game, set and match.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air.
Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Coming up tomorrow on Football Live. Manchester United against Liverpool.
Yeah!
Around the grounds, chasing the goal.
1, 2, 3, run it!
The Premier League, the Bundesliga,
Serie A, the Saudi Pro League, La Liga, French League 1.
Let it hit 'em.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
A good type of game of football.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Indeed, we've got an action-packed afternoon coming up for you tomorrow, but there's plenty still to come this afternoon. Not least counting a big game, or two big games at the foot of the Premier League. Let's go back to Turf Moor, Burnley versus Brentford with Billy Andrews.
Now, this is better from Burnley, miles better from Burnley. They up the tempo and they work it into the final third, and the ball drops in the box to Brun Larson, the goal scorer, and his left foot effort is blocked fantastically by Christophe Ager and then headed back to Mark Flecken by Frank Onyeka. So Burnley, they've upped the tempo a little bit. They're trying to play more and more first-time passes to make the use of that space left by the red card from Sergio Reguilon. Just under 10 minutes to go till half-time. Vincent Kompany should be a little bit happier from what he's seeing from his side. They still lead Brentford by 1-0.
Thank you very much, Billy. We've got about 10 minutes to go in the first half of our featured Premier League games. About half an hour left to go in the first half of our featured game in La Liga. It's time to check in with John Kane to get the latest odds, powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. 38 minutes gone in both in Premier League games. Luton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Luton are losing at home. They are 6.50 to turn it around. 4.20 for the draw and 1.50 to Forest to maintain that lead. Burnley are leading Brentford by 1-0. Brentford are playing with 10 men. Brentford are 1.25 for the win. The draw is 6.0, and Brentford just gone up to 15.0. Now, if you just listen to Billy Andrews, he's at Brentford all over Burnley. So 15.0, who knows? Also, Real Madrid is suspended at this moment in time. Some of the other games happening at the moment in the French League 2. Auxerre and Caen are 1-0. after 80 minutes. Auxerre are 3.25 to nick it, 1.57 for the draw, and 9.0 for an away win for Caen. Motherwell Aberdeen, Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 1 in the Scottish Premier League. 5 minutes to go till half time. Motherwell are 6.50 to turn it around, 3.75 for the win, and 1.50 for the Aberdeen win. Celtic are still 0-0 after 37 minutes in the Scottish Premier League against St Johnstone. Celtic are 1.20 for the win, 6.0 for the draw, and 17.0 for St Johnstone away win. The Spanish La Liga is available now. Osasuna are losing to Madrid by 2-1 at home. Osasuna now are 13.0 to turn it around, 7.0 for the draw, and 1.20 for Real Madrid away win. Of course, all these prices from Nairabet and is all subject to change.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. As always, John Kane, I can tell you, Union Berlin have taken the lead against Werder Bremen. Jorbe Vertesen, 6 minutes after the restart, has made it Union Berlin 1, Werder Bremen 0. Let's go back to the game in La Liga. Our feature game between Osasuna and Real Madrid. And Real Madrid wanted a penalty, I believe, Ethan.
They did. It was Vinicius Jr. who was appealing the most, because it was him who, well, he believed he was fouled. He was bursting into the box on that left-hand side, as he has been all day so far, a real danger. But he was matched stride for stride by Osasuna centre-back Unai Garcia. So he tries to chop back inside, and there's a little bit of a touch from Unai Garcia, but Vinicius Jr. goes down quite easily. The referee says nothing doing, and play carries on. But Real Madrid still in complete control, as the lead would suggest. And after 26 minutes, it remains Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2.
Thank you very much. Celtic have now taken the lead against St Johnstone. The Super Jays couldn't keep out Kyogo Furuhashi's goal. 5 minutes from the break, Celtic 1, St Johnstone 0. Ipswich have doubled their lead against Sheffield Wednesday. Cameron Burgess after 37 minutes. And Brendan Aronson has scored a second goal inside a minute for Union Berlin, who have made a fast start to the second half. It's Union Berlin 2, Werder Bremen 0. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, there's been another goal.
The goals, powered by Nairabet.
On Wednesday night, they were 3 goals up and somehow managed to lose. Today, they're a goal down, but they've managed to find themselves level. Tatum Mengi has made it. Luton Town 1, Nottingham Forest 1, and what a big, big goal that certainly could be at the foot of the Premier League. The big defender has come up at the right crucial time to make things parity. But I've just seen that there's been a VAR check on that goal, and the goal has been disallowed. It's still 1-0. Just wanting to find out what the reason for that goal is. Potential handball, I believe, is the reason why that goal has been disallowed. Let's go and check in with Paul James to find out how Luton aren't level.
Well, it could have been level just before that. The cross was whipped in by Pele, Ruddock and Panze, and it was just cleared over the crossbar by Nico Williams. He almost put it into his own goal. The disallowed goal came from the resulting corner. It was swung in. It was handled by Mendy, and he then tapped the ball into the net. So the goal has in fact been disallowed for a handball. It is still 1-0 with 42 minutes come.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. What a crucial touch of the hands there. Of course, any handball that leads to a goal, generally the verdict is it should be disallowed, and it has been quite rightly. Ross County have taken the lead against Hearts in the Scottish Premiership just on the stroke of half-time, and Preston have taken the lead away at Plymouth. A bit of a shock potentially in that one. St Mirren have doubled their lead against Kilmarnock. Mandron adding to Dunn's earlier goal to make it Kilmarnock 0, St Mirren 2. It was Simon Murray who got that goal for Ross County, by the way. Let's go and check back in at the game between Burnley and Brentford. It was all Brentford, Billy Andrews, but it's still 1-0 to the hosts.
Still 1-0 to the host, and they are starting to up things now, starting to put some passes together. Vincent Kompany just remonstrating with Coutinho on the touchline because he failed to pick out a teammate despite being in absolute of space. A fantastic chance just now. It was Assignon, the fullback, worked it fantastically. Got the ball from Vitinha down on the byline, pulled it across, and there's David Fofana. Any flick towards goal and it would have been in, but it hit the back of his foot and went out again for a goal kick to Brentford. So they have these odd chances. That's a golden opportunity for the on-loan man. Vitinha working fantastically well, and Assignon, lovely to skip past Matthias Jensen, pulls it across goal, and he kicks it. He's got the goal gaping in front of him. Any touch towards goal and it would have been in. Mark Flecken's nowhere to be seen, and he taps it wide. It's up there with miss of the season. Still, as we approach half-time, somehow only 1-0 to the home side at Turf Moor.
Oh dear, well, misses don't get much worse than that or much better than that. I'm not quite sure of the correct grammar, but it was a shocker, and the scoreline still reads 1-0 to Burnley. We caught up with Vincent Company ahead of this game, and he just told us how big a game this was for both sides.
It's a different league. I think the easiest way to say it is last season, this season, it's just a different league. And but it doesn't take away the fact that we'd like to win. At home, we'd like to win more. We've been close a few times, and Saturday is an opportunity for us. It's always been said it's the hardest thing is to score the first goal, and that's not been a problem for us. But I think this season, I don't know, you guys have maybe looked into the statistics more than I have for this, but it looks like it's a strikers' league at the moment.
A strikers' league indeed. On his side, do have that early goal and have scored that first goal and do lead by a 1-0. Certain Nigerian forward Emmanuel Dennis has scored for Watford as they lead away at Birmingham by 1-0. 1 minute before the break in that one. There's going to be 3 minutes of added time in the game between Luton Town and Nottingham Forest. It's going to be 5 minutes of added time in the game between Burnley and Brentford. We've got about 50 minutes left to go in our feature game in the Liga, and it's Osasuna who are pushing for an equaliser, Ethan Gardner.
Yeah, they're just hitting Real Madrid on the counter every so often here, and it's working quite well to a good effect, actually. Jose Arnaiz, who's a right striker for them today, he came into the lineup for this match, has the latest opportunity. He was sent away down the right-hand side, quite a lot of space. He manages to actually lose Antonio Rudiger with a lovely little bit of skill, but unfortunately his shot then cannons over the bar. It wasn't the most intuitive finish from Arnaiz, and he did have support, so it's a disappointing shot wasted. Both sides have actually had 4 shots each, despite the scoreline, but Real Madrid still lead. After 32 minutes, it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2.
Thank you, Ethan. West Brom have taken the lead at home to Bristol City, although that goal looks like it's been disallowed, so still goalless in that game. Potentially the goal has been given. A bit of confusion there. The goal was shown, the goal was taken away. I think as it stands, West Brom have taken the lead. It's West Brom 1, Bristol City 0. Burnley close to doubling their lead yet again, Billy Andrews.
Not as close as the chance for Fofana, but Odobert had a chance from about 20 yards out, took a pop shot straight over the bar of Mark Flecken's goal. I'm still not over that miss from David Fofana. Vincent Kompany there talking about it being a strikers' league. I bet he wish he had any other striker in the league to choose from that would have put that one in. I would have scored that, you would have scored it, Dean. Any listener at home would have put that in the back of the net for a Premier League goal. Miss of the season, I'm calling it now. Still, as we go into 5 minutes of added time, 1-0 to Burnley at Turf Moor.
You're too kind, Billy. Obviously, you've never actually seen me play football. No, I'm joking. I even feel like I could have scored that one. But Burnley still lead by a 1-0. I can confirm that West Brom's goal did stand. Tom Fellows has given them the lead against Bristol City. Augsburg have come from behind. They now lead Wolfsburg by 2-1. The Croatian Christian Jakic with the goal against 10-man Wolfsburg. Half time now at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, and now it's a big chance for 10-man Brentford at Turf Moor, Billy Andrews.
It is a huge chance as we approach our half-time for the away side. It's Ivan Toney, quickest to react. He plays in Johan Visser. He's one-on-one with Muric, and Muric makes a fantastic save to rescue the home side once again. Visser tried to bend it into the far corner. It's a fantastic save from Muric on his Premier League debut, no less. Vincent Kompany at the moment vindicated to put him in over James Trafford, but that's the chances you have to take if you're going to get level with 10 men. It's still 1-0 to the home side, and I'm not entirely sure how.
Brilliant stuff. I feel there are certainly more goals in this one, and no one is willing the ball into the back of net, maybe more than you, Billy. Ipswich has scored a third goal at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Nathan Broadhead extending the lead and surely claiming all 3 points for the Tractor Boys against the Owls. It's half-time, as I mentioned, at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town against Nottingham Forest. Let's go and hear about the shape of that first half with Paul James.
Yes, well, the difference is Chris Wood's goal on 34 minutes, tapped in there from the cross from Morgan Gibbs-White. But chances have fallen to Luton. Ogbene and Chong have had chances along with Carlton Morris. The ball was put in the back of the net by Tayden Mengi, but it was a handball. So at half-time at Kenilworth Road, it is Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, but it's up for grabs.
Certainly is, and it's a big second half for Rob Edwards. You imagine the team talk will be an inspiring one as his side definitely need to get themselves on the score sheets if they are to have any hope of getting themselves out of that relegation zone and potentially saving their Premier League status for another season. There's been a big save from a man called Dave, Billy Andrews.
Play my fat thumbs for that one, Dean. Big save from Mark Flecken in the Brentford goal. It would have been 2-0. It's a fantastic worked move from Jakob Brun-Larsen, the goal scorer. He turns Dara O'Shea inside and out before flashing a shot towards goal, which palmed away brilliantly by the Dutch goalkeeper. Still only 1-0 at Turf Moor. This game has sparked into life in added time.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. So still Burnley. It's the half-time whistle has now gone at Turf Moor. Burnley 1, Brentford 0. Howitt's only 1-0. I do not know. That miss from Fofana is something you need to check out and try and find. You will not believe it, but it is a big result as it stands for Vincent Kompany and his men. It could close that gap to safety in this table. Of course, they'll be hoping that Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest ends in a draw. At the moment, of course, Nottingham Forest leading by 1-0. Werder Bremen have pulled a goal back against Union Berlin. Union Berlin 2, Werder Bremen 1. And it's Mitchell Wieser with the goal from the corner, heading in from 6 yards to make it 2-1. The full-time whistle's gone in Serie A. Udinese 0, Torino 2. They're still playing in the other game between Monza and Calgary, where the score is 1-0 to Monza. Half-time at Turf Moor, Burnley versus Brentford. How do you surmise that one in 30 seconds, Billy? In fact, hold on just 2 seconds, because I'll tell you about another goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And this time it's Musiala at the double to make it Bayern Munich 3. Oh, Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 3. Just about 25 minutes left to go in this one. And Jamal Musiala has increased Bayern's lead. Darmstadt, of course, took the lead, a shock lead in that game. They were in front for about 11 minutes, and that's been about as good as it's got from the team at the foot of the Bundesliga. It looks like it's going to be a 7-point gap at the top of the table between them and Bayer Leverkusen. Let's go and get that half-time report now from Billy Andrews.
Well, in one word, chaotic at Turf Moor for this first half. After 9 minutes, Darren Bond, the referee, missed a professional foul from Sergio Reguilon on Vitinha. He was sent to the monitor by VAR and gave Burnley a penalty after 10 minutes and sent Sergio Reguilon off on his return from injury. So he's now out for 3 matches. Brentford down to 10 men after 9 minutes. The penalty was coolly put away by Jakob Brun-Larsen despite Mark Flecken going the right way. After that, Burnley never really capitalised to begin with. It was all Brentford. They had a huge set of chances, one falling to Dara O'Shea, passed it towards his own goal. It was cleared away by Muric, and then he did well to save the clearing shot from Ivan Toney. But it was in added time after 45 minutes that the game really sparked to life. Ivan Toney played out Johan Visser one-on-one with Muric on his Premier League debut, and Muric tipped it around the post to keep Burnley in the game. Then at the other end, there was a fantastic chance for David Fofana, miss of the season. The ball was worked out fantastically by Vitinha, and Assignon cut into the byline, pulled it back, open goal, the freedom of the city of Burnley in front of him, and he put it wide. Missed from a yard. Unbelievable. And then in extra time, just as Flecken was about to roll the ball out and hoof it long, Fofana was there behind him, nicked the ball off of him, should have scored, but he slipped over, and Flecken was able to clear it, and the referee Darren Bond blew the first time whistle. I'm off to go and lay down in a dark room for 15 minutes because that was chaotic. But at half time, it's Burnley 1, Brentford 0.
Sounds like you need to, Billy. And whilst you go and lay down, it's time for our Football Live listeners to rejoin FJ and the team in Lagos. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. Hopefully, no one will have to go and wake Billy up. Please set your alarm. We'll have all the goals from the second half, big games in the Premier League games, as well as the big game in the Liga between Osasuna and Real Madrid. We'll see you in 15.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Thank you very much, FJ. Welcome listeners back to Football Live. And yes, FJ, I've got your trivia for you. Yes, you've opened up old wounds. It was an old Spurs boy as well, Dimitar Berbatov, who gave Fulham a 1-0 victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. In fact, it was actually at Wembley back in March 2013. Dimitar Berbatov coming back to score against his former club. Let's bring you up to date with the halftime score in Spain, La Liga. It's the big game between Osasuna and Real Madrid. Ethan Gardner can bring us up to date with the first half shenanigans.
It's been a thrilling first half here at the El Sadar Stadium. Of course, it is Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2. Real Madrid took the lead very early on through Vinicius Jr. A horrible defensive error from Osasuna centre-back Catania left him one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and you'd back the Brazilian to score every time there. But after 3 minutes later even, Ante Budimir, the Croatian striker, restored parity. It was the Los Rojillos' man's 16th goal in all competitions this season. After 18 minutes, though, Real Madrid retook the lead. Their captain, Dani Carvajal, netting with a nonchalant flick. And since then, it's been a fairly end-to-end game. High action and high pace. I'm looking forward to a second half here that should be thrilling. And at half-time, it is Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2.
Stuff. Thank you very much, Ethan. Plenty of goals there in that game. Just the one goal in the first half. It came as the wrong end as far as those Luton Town fans are concerned at Kenilworth Road. How has the second half started, Paul James?
Well, Luton have made a substitution at half-time. Coley Woodrow came on for Alfie Doherty, but the chance fell to Nottingham Forest, the first chance in the second half. Breaking in behind the defence was Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, he got the shot away, but Thomas Kaminski stood up well to make the save, and Morgan Gibbs-White picked up a knock when he clashed with Reece Burke, but it is still at 1-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Thank you very much, Paul. Ross County have doubled the lead against Hearts. Big shock on in the Scottish Premiership there, and it's Simon Murray who has doubled the lead in that one. Celtic have also doubled the lead against St Johnstone, and it's Kuhn with the goal that leads it Celtic 2, St Johnstone 0. Not such a super day for the Super Jays. Our other feature game in the English Premier League was Burnley versus Brentford, a game that just had the one goal but certainly should have had more. We still are talking about that for Fafana. Miss Billy Andrews, have you woken up from your darkroom napper, and how's the second half started?
Woken up wide and alert, and the second half started just as chaotically and frantically as the first half ended. This time it's Burnley with a chance to go 2-0 up. Lovely work again by Bryn Larson down this left-hand side. He makes the space, around Christophe Auger and whips one across the face of the Brentford 6-yard box. That corridor of uncertainty cross, and Vitinho is inches away from connecting with it, but he's just not quick enough onto the mark, and it stays at 1-0. But no changes for either manager. Fofana still has the faith of his manager. Another miss like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he came off. Brian Mbuemo, of course, still on the bench for Brentford. Still 1-0 to go.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. West Brom have doubled their lead at home to Bristol City. Jed Wallace with the goal. Straight back to Kenilworth Road. Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. Paul James.
Well, Forest come almighty close to taking a 2-0 lead. Alanga broke into the penalty area on the left-hand side. He slid it past Kaminski, but chasing back to make the clearance off the line was Reece Burke. It really could have been 2 or 3-0 to Forest at this time, but at the moment it's still Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, 52 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Paul. Ipswich Town got a 4th goal at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Murray Hutchinson with his 2nd either side of half-time, a commanding lead for the Tractor Boys. We're just into the second half of our feature Premier League games at half-time in our feature game in the Liga between Real Madrid and Osasuna. Let's get the latest odds, powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Thank you very much. Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. In the English Premier League, 53 minutes gone, it's still Luton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. However, Luton's odds are only 8.50 to turn it around, 4.33 for the draw, and 1.40 for Forest away win. Burnley are leading Brentford by a goal to 0. Brentford are playing with 10 men. I have to emphasise on that. Burnley 1.17 to maintain that lead, 6.50 for the draw, and 21.0 for Brentford to turn it around. Is it worth a punt, Billy Andrews? In fact, it's gone to 23.0. In Spanish La Liga, it's half-time between Osasuna and Madrid. Madrid are leading away by 2-1. Osasuna are 19.0 for the turning around, for the win. The draw is 5.50, and the away win for Real Madrid is 1.22. In French League 14 minutes gone, it's Nantes 0, Strasbourg 1. Nantes are still very low odds, even though losing by a goal to 0. Nantes are 3.75 to turn it around, 3.50 for the draw, and 2.0 for Strasbourg away win. In the German Bundesliga, some of these odds, it's probably worth mentioning, is Heidenheim against Borussia Mönchengladbach. 84 minutes gone, it's still 1-0 there, so anyone's game there. Heidenheim are 5.50 for the win, the draw is 1.33, and the away win for Borussia Mönchengladbach is 8.50. Well, let's have a look at the Bayern Munich game, shall we? We are keeping an eye on that game. At the moment, it's Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 4, with 5 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Now, if you think it's going to be over 5.5 goals, that means just one more goal in the game is 2.10. And if you think it's going to be over 6.5 goals in that game, is 6.50. Of course, that game is Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 4, with 4 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Of course, all these prizes are from NairaBet and is all subject to change.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. As always, John, bring us the latest odds. Burnley have come out the second half and look intent on extending their lead, Billy Andrews.
Well, whatever Vincent Kompany said at half-time, it certainly has worked. He's lit a firework up these Burnley players. It's another fantastic ball in from the left-hand side, this time from Charlie Taylor. It's in that corridor of uncertainty again. Mark Flecken can't get anywhere near it. He flaps at it, but there's no Burnley striker or shirt anywhere near it to tap it into the net, and it's scrambled away by Collins. But they're sustaining a constant flow of attacks now, Burnley. The opening 6 minutes has all been the home side. Still need that second goal to make it worth the constant onslaught. Still at Turf Moor, it's only 1-0 to Burnley.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. We're building up to another big game in the English Premier League later, and it's Champions League chasing Tottenham Hotspur travelling to Fulham in a London derby. We spoke about the last time that Fulham beat Tottenham in the league. The last time Fulham beat Tottenham at Craven Cottage, you have to go back to 2008, where Fulham scored a 2-1 victory. former Spurs boy again, scoring in that one. Simon Davies, before Johnson got a second. Fraser Campbell, do you remember him? Pulled the goal back for the visitors in that game. But Tottenham have won 7 in a row in the league at Craven Cottage. We caught up with Big Ange to this one.
I'll take the suspense out of it. He'll start tomorrow. With a view that it was quite evident that we were very short in that area, and he'd had a good very good half season in Italy, and he's had to be patient for his opportunity, which is not surprising because Mickey and Romero have been outstanding for us, and I thought he did well when he came on the other day. It was good that the team was already in good rhythm, even though he contributed to sort of the way we finished that game, and he's a pretty self-assured young guy. He has belief in himself. He's got some really good people around him, and I think he can bring something else to us as a team. He's a very, very good defender, and he's very, very strong in the duels, and I think we're going to need that tomorrow.
Talking, of course, the Romanian centre-back Dragusin, who will start for Tottenham this evening. We will get the team news in just about 15 minutes time, and it's Ash Sanderford of Football Live will be covering this one for us from Craven Cottage. The other big game coming up is the big FA Cup game between Manchester City and Newcastle United. Matt Smith will be covering this one for us. Of course, no replays, so extra time and penalties if need be at the Etihad as the holders look to progress through to the semi-finals. Let's go and hear about an injury in the game down at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest, and Pantu doesn't look to be in very good shape, Paul James.
No, he looks pretty hurt, and it all came about with a collision with Murillo. Murillo did a collision with him, shoulder barged him into the advertising hoardings, and Pele Ruddick almost went over the top, but he clattered with the metal part of the advertising hoardings. That created a dreadful reaction from the Luton fans. They were furious. He's now going off by the looks of it. Still 0-0.
Rather nasty looking one there, and an injury to boot. No wonder those Luton fans aren't happy. Injuries must be contagious. There's an injury to Brentford player Ruslev as well, I believe, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, just after a Brentford corner, Burnley went to try and clear it. Fell to Fofana, and Ruslev was there to challenge. He put his head down. Fofana kicked his leg up, just sort of kicked him, sort of kneed him in the underside of his jaw. Whether he's bitten his tongue or whether he's lost a few teeth, I don't know, but he's on the floor. The medical staff are very quick to be called on by Zenka. He's going to be replaced by, it looks like Keane Lewis Potter at the moment. Neil Maupay is also warming up. But yeah, awful lot of blood coming from Max Ruslev. So I'll keep you updated with any substitute that do happen, but it looks like we are going to see Keane Lewis Potter. 1-0.
Thank you very much, Billy Andrews. Nasty looking one there as well. Second half is underway at the Estadio El Sadar. It's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2. Let's bring you up to date with some of the other scores going on. We'll start with the Scottish Premiership, where Kilmarnock have just pulled a goal back against St Mirren. Kyle Vassell with the goal to make Kilmarnock 1, St Mirren 2. St Johnstone are still trailing Celtic by 2 goals to 0 at Celtic Park. Hibs 3, Livingston 0, Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 1. Motherwell having a goal ruled out in that game, so Clarkson's goal is still the difference between those two. And Ross County 2, Hearts 0 is the latest score. Norwich City have got a third goal in the English Championship away at Stoke City on the hour. Stoke 0, Norwich 3. And Norwich look to be going stride for stride, or trying to go stride for stride with their bitter rivals Ipswich Town in who's going to score the most this afternoon. It's Ashley Barnes who got that third goal for Norwich City. It looks as though Mpanzu wasn't able to continue. Let's go and hear about a change down at Kenilworth Road with Paul James.
Yeah, that's right, Dean. Yes, Andros Townsend has replaced Pele, Ruddock and Panzu. He did try to carry on, bless him, but that injury looked pretty severe and pretty nasty. Obviously, I hope he recovers very, very quickly. But Townsend is on, and Luton still behind by a goal to nil with 61 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Paul. Some change for Luton, some changes for Brent.
Yeah, Yarmouk and Lewis Potter are on for Ruslev, who had that nasty cut to his face, a massive gash down his right-hand side of his jawline, and he's been replaced, as well as Frank Onyeka. Hakeem Lewis Potter and Yarmouk are on for Brentford. A bit more of attacking changes. Lewis Potter will give them that width where Reguilon was, so an attacking change from Thomas Frank. They're looking for a goal. Still 1-0 to the home side.
Christoph, thank you very much, Billy. Full-time whistle has gone. Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 3. And a late goal from Jakic secured all 3 points for Augsburg. And Bayern Munich scored 8 last week. They've got a 5th this week.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And Matthias Tell has added gloss to the scoreline, which makes it Darmstadt 1, Bayern Munich 5. So Musiala with a double, 1 for Harry Kane, of course. Who else? Serge Gnabry. And now Matthias Tell has made it a comfortable afternoon in Darmstadt. It didn't seem to be that way on the half-an-hour mark where Skark had given Darmstadt the lead. That lead, of course, lasted barely 8 minutes. And Bayern Munich are going to close the gap on Bayer Leverkusen to just 7 points. Let's go back to the game at Kenilworth Road. Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. And what can only be described as an audacious effort, I believe, Paul James.
Oh, Dean, you wouldn't believe it unless you saw it. They got a free kick inside their own half, and Murillo just tried to lob the goalkeeper, Thomas Kaminski, and by goodness me, he was nearly successful. Kaminski was scrambling back and only just managed to turn it over the crossbar. Back to you.
Back to me indeed, because there's been a second goal at Turf Moor.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Burnley keep shooting themselves in the foot and throwing away leads. But maybe that changes today. They've got a second goal, and he missed a sitter in the first half, but he surely made amends now. David Fofana has made it Burnley 2, Brentford 0, and a huge goal in Burnley's survival attempts in the Premier League this season. There's also been a 7th goal in Germany.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Where Darmstadt opened the scoring, it looks like they may well have ended the scoring in this one. It's Darmstadt 2, Bayern Munich 5. So shortly after conceding that 5th goal, they found a late consolation, but it will be nothing more than a consolation to those home fans who have stuck with their team to the bitter end. Kilmarnock have scored 2 quick goals and now level against St Mirren. And it's Daniel Armstrong who has got that equalising goal to make it Kilmarnock 2, St Mirren 2. Let's go and check it in the early stages of the game in the league. The way we're featuring between Osasuna and Real Madrid. How have Osasuna attacked this second half, Ethan?
Well, in truth, they haven't really attacked it all that much. Real Madrid are the side in the ascendancy. We have seen a corner for the hosts early on in this second half, but they haven't really had many opportunities. Real Madrid have worked the ball a couple of times into the box, but they're mainly just holding on to possession, holding on to this lead and taking the sting out of Los Rojilos here. After 52 minutes, it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2 still.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join Corner where the big boys play.
Calling all high flyers who fancies a free flight on us. Naira Vegas are making it rain with 1 million, yes, 1 million free flights on Aviator. Claim unlimited flights with no minimum stake. The sky's the limit. Every day it will randomly rain free flights through the chat feature. Simply place your bets on Aviator and watch it rain free flights in the chat. Make sure you board the plane. You wouldn't want to miss out on a maximum multiplier of times 250,000. Full terms and conditions apply. Must click claim in the chat to be rewarded. Free flights for aviators only. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
And it's time to get straight into the action.
Oh, they've left it late. They've left it so late. What an absolute beauty.
Fantastic save.
It's game, set and match.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air.
Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Coming up tomorrow on Football Live. Manchester United.
Please.
Against Liverpool.
Yeah!
Around the grounds, chasing the goal.
1, 2, 3, run it!
The Premier League, the Bundesliga,
Serie A, the Saudi Pro League, La Liga, French League 1.
Let it hit them.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
A good type of game of football.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Let's go and hear about that second Burnley goal with Billy Andrews.
And that miss in the first half is now a distant memory for David Fofana. But it came from a Brentford break. King Lewis Potter had the freedom of the Burnley half, I should say, to run into it. It's Coutinho kept stride with him and blocked his shot. Ball goes straight down the other end. It makes its way out to Wilson Odobert. He plays in David Fofana up against Christophe Aguerd. Just enough lift on it to take it over the outstretched leg of Mark Flecken to make it 2-0 to the home side. A little bit of an injury worry for Brentford, though. Matthias Jensen hobbling. He stood on the edge of the pitch at the moment, but I think they are going to replace him. And when that sub does happen, I will let you know. But at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2, Brentford 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Let's go and hear about a yellow card in the Stadio El Sedar with Ethan Gardner.
Yes, Eduardo Camavinga, the Real Madrid midfielder, has been shown a yellow here. He came in late and over the top of the ball into Osasuna midfielder Moy Gomez. It was actually quite a nasty one. It left the Osasuna man on the floor for quite a while. There was an injury check and I think potentially VAR for a red card, but it wasn't given. And Camavinga picks up Real Madrid's second yellow of the day. The first went to Vinicius Junior for dissent. We've also just seen another yellow for Osasuna. Their midfielder Toro's been given one, and that means he'll miss their next match away at Almeria. But after 55 minutes with a game that's becoming more and more physical, it remains Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Kilmarnock completed quite a stunning turnaround. 3 goals in 8 minutes. Seen him come from 2 goals down to lead 3-2 against St Mirren. Marley Watkins with the goal to make it Kilmarnock 3, St Mirren 2. Full-time whistle has gone Darmstadt 2, Bayern Munich 5, Union Berlin 2, Werder Bremen 1. Let's go and get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. 69 minutes gone. It's Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Luton Town to turn it around are 50. It's just gone down to 15.0. So it's encouraging signs there. The draw is 5.0 and away win for Forest is 1.29. Burnley against Brentford. Burnley just scored their second goal after 68 minutes. Burnley 2, Brentford 0. Brentford are playing with 10 men. It's suspended for Burnley at the moment. The draw has gone down to 23.0 and away win for Brentford is 101.0. Spanish La Liga, 57 minutes gone. It's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 2. Osasuna are 23.0 to turn it around. The draw is 6.50 and away win for Real Madrid is as low as 1.17. French League 30 minutes gone. In fact, it's Nantes 0, Strasbourg 1. Nantes are 4.50 to turn it around. The draw is 3.40 and away win for Strasbourg is 1.85. Just looking at the Scottish Premiership, is still Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 1 after 70 minutes. Motherwell are 12.0 to turn it around. The draw is 4.0 and away win for Aberdeen, who are leading by a goal to nil, 1.36. Of course, all these prices from NairaBet and they're all subject to change.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, John. We'll check in with you soon, and we'll get the latest odds ahead of the two big games we're featuring on Football Live. That FA Cup quarter-final between Manchester City and Newcastle, and that big Premier League game between Fulham and Spurs. Let's go straight back to Turf Moor. Burnley leading by 2-0 against 10-man Brentford. Brentford showed a lot of fight in the second half, but it looks like that fight might well be dropping, Billy.
Yeah, Brentford have been rattled and Burnley are looking to capitalise more and more. They can't clear their lines, Brentford. The ball comes to Vitinho after it's been worked out on the left-hand side. It falls to him on the right. He plays the ball into Wilson Odobert. His first time shot is just straight at Mark Flecken. Vitaly Janelt has been booked for hauling down the goal scorer David Fofana just too quick for the defender. And Zeki Amdouni has come on to replace the first goal scorer for Burnley, Jakob Brun Larsen. So an attacking change there for Vincent Kompany. He smells blood. The Turf Moor faithful can smell a victory here with just over 20 minutes to go. It's Burnley 2, Brentford 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Suddenly have increased their lead to 3-0 over St Johnstone. James Forrest with the goal. And Kilmarnock have scored a 4th goal in just 12 minutes. They were 2-0 down. They're now lead by 4-2. And Carl Vassell's got his second of the afternoon. Luton Town, if anyone needs a goal, it's them. And they were close to getting an equaliser against Nottingham Forest, Paul James.
Indeed they were. Andros Townsend, the substitute, skipping away from Harry Toffolo in the corner of the penalty area on the left-hand side. He swung the shot in, but Matt Sells was right there in the right place to just pluck that out of the air. Since then, the second half has become a little bit scrappy. Forest have wasted a couple of chances, but it is still Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. The full times in all of the games in the Bundesliga this afternoon. Darmstadt 2, Bayern Munich 5, Heidenheim 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Mainz 2, Bochum 0, Union Berlin 2, Werder Bremen 1, and Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 3. The results mean that Bayern Munich closed the gap on leaders by Leverkusen to 7 points at the top of the Bundesliga, having played a game more. RB Leipzig have a thumping win yesterday. They've solidified their place in those Champions League spots. They have 49 points from 26. Down at the bottom of the league, Darmstadt, they are now 12 points from safety away from Bochum. Mainz 6 points from safety in that 16th playoff relegation place. And Hearts have pulled a goal back against Ross County. Stephen Kingsley with the goal in the Scottish Premiership. There's been a 4th goal in Spain.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And Brahim Diaz has made it 3-1 to the visitors. Let's go and hear about it with Ethan Gardner.
Daylight for Real Madrid, and it's Brahim Diaz with the goal. Real Madrid were passing it around the back. It fell to goalkeeper Andre Lunin. He hit one long, hoping to find one of their pacey front three. And indeed, he found Brahim Diaz, who broke through the middle of the Osasuna defence. He was in one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and it was a fantastically calm finish from the man who recently has been facing a lot of questions about if he's going to choose Morocco or Spain as his national side. Well, this is not going to stop those questions being asked. Real Madrid now have a more commanding position to show the dominance that they've been showing since half-time. And it's after 61 minutes now, Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 3.
Thank you very much. And that for Real Madrid would see them extend their lead over Girona to 10 points. Girona, of course, in action later on this evening. We'll bring you the goals from that game as they travel to Getafe in La Liga. But for Real Madrid, that's a big goal in the title race. And surely they've got one hand on that trophy already. I was just bringing you up to speed with the standings in the Bundesliga for Augsburg. That victory puts them to within 5 points of Eintracht Frankfurt in that Europa Conference League place. So plenty up for the grabs in the Bundesliga. Of course, the big news is that Bayern Munich just 7 points now behind league leaders Bayer Leverkusen, who are in action tomorrow evening. So Latest scores in the English Premier League: Burnley 2, Brentford 0, Luton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. But it's been a couple of changes for the visitors, I believe, Paul James.
Yes, that's right. Goal scorer Chris Wood has come off for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And Divock Origi, who's not been at his best today, is replaced by Felipe in a more defensive substitution by Nuno Espirito Santo. It is still Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1. We've got 15 minutes left here at Kenilworth Road.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Paul. So team news is in from the Premier League game between Fulham and Tottenham, and Fulham made 2 changes. Paulina's back in the starting lineup, big replacement for him to be back in the starting lineup, having missed the last 2. He's in for Harrison Reed, whilst Willian, former Chelsea man, comes in for Harry Wilson, the former Liverpool player. Also, ball of note, Raul Jimenez is on the bench. For Tottenham, Dragusin comes in for Mickey van der Ven. We heard from Ange Postecoglou on that enforced change, and that's the only change for Tottenham from that 4-0 win over Aston Villa last weekend. Richarlison is also on the bench, having been injured for the last 3. There's been a 5th goal in Madrid.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4. Vinicius Jr. with his 2nd of the afternoon. And that daylight has become a chasm. Let's go and hear about that 4th goal for Madrid with Ethan Gardner.
Well, it's the 2nd time this season that Real Madrid have put 4 past Osasuna. And this goal is again well worked by Los Blancos. The ball played forward. Distribution today from Antonio Rudiger has been fantastic. It's then chested off by Valverde to Vinicius Jr. He's clear on goal. He just toes it past the goalkeeper and it actually trickles over the line quite slowly, but nonetheless, the ball has gone in. The Real Madrid fans bowing and saluting to their Brazilian winger. He's been a danger all day and he has 2 goals to show for it. Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Now, it doesn't get much bigger or much more difficult than a trip to the Etihad if you're looking to progress through to the FA Cup semi-finals, but that's the task set for Newcastle United this evening as they take on holders Manchester City. Manchester City on an incredible 21-game unbeaten run and have also won 9 games in a row in this competition. This is indeed a repeat of the quarter-final side back in 2020, where a Kevin De Bruyne penalty and a Raheem Sterling goal saw the citizens progress at St James's Park to the semi-finals. That being said, Newcastle have already knocked Manchester City out of one competition this season. Alexander Isak's early second-half goal enough to see the Magpies progress to the last 16 of the Carabao Cup back in September. Delighted to welcome Matt Smith to the airwaves here on Football Live as he brings us up to date with the starting 11s. Welcome to you, Matt.
Good afternoon, Dean. Good afternoon, Football Live. Well, we've reached the FA Cup quarter-finals, and I have the privilege of watching over this one. There's no Kevin De Bruyne or Ederson in the squad for Manchester City today. They start with Stefan Ortega in goal, a back 4 of Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol, Rodri and Mateo Kovacic, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva and Jeremy Doku all behind Erling Haaland. Newcastle make 2 changes from the side that lost 3-2 to Chelsea last time out. Almiron and Livramento come out of the starting 11. Jamal Lascelles is in, and I believe Jacob Murphy starts at right wing back, as a back 5 of Murphy, Shah, Lascelles, Botman and Dan Burn. Well, Coventry have already booked their place in the FA Cup semi-finals. Let's see who joins them. It's Manchester City versus Newcastle United, kicking off in just over 45 minutes.
Brilliant stuff. Very excited for that one, Matt Smith. Yeah, we'll come to you very, very shortly as we build up to that big game at the Etihad. Let's go down to Craven Cottage and check in with Ash Sandiford as Tottenham, who could leapfrog Aston Villa into 4th place this afternoon with victory at Fulham, go into this game with confidence on the back of that 4-0 win against the Villains last Sunday. They've got a great record at Craven Cottage, winning their last 7 league games here. However, Fulham have already beaten Spurs here this season, albeit on penalties in the Carabao Cup. Fulham coming to this game having a bit of form, taking the win from their sails with that 2-1 defeat at Wolves last time out. Goals normally on the agenda when Spurs play. Here to bring us that latest team news is Ash Sandiford.
Good afternoon, Dean, and good afternoon, Football Live listeners. We're really looking forward to this huge game, this huge Premier League clash between Fulham and Spurs. Fulham make 2 changes from that defeat last week to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Paulina comes in for Harrison Reed and William comes in for Harry Wilson. On the back of that, Spurs' fantastic performance last week away from home against Aston Villa, winning 4-0. That enforced change for Spurs today, and Mickey van der Ven has to come out. He got a small hamstring injury in that last game, and Dragusin comes in. That January transfer comes in to start for Spurs. Big game here at Craven Cottage between these 2 Premier League clashes here. It's Fulham versus Spurs in about half an hour's time.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Let's go back down to the game at Turf Moor. Burnley versus Brentford. Any signs of a Brentford fight back in this one, Billy?
Well, Thomas Frank's just made a triple substitution to try and spark some life into this Brentford side. Brian Mbuemo is back from injury. He's being joined on the pitch by Neil Maupay and Shandon Baptiste. 3 attacking changes from Thomas Frank. They're replacing Johan Visser, Vitaly Janelt and Matthias Jensen. Burnley did have another chance to go potentially 3-0 up. This time the ball fell to Zaki Amdouni from a throw-in, actually. But his shot was just at Matthias Jensen. They had a chance to counter from a Jensen long throw, but it wouldn't fall for Zanka. They tried to find Wilson Odobert, but Ajer was there to hoof the ball away and out for a throw. So an attacking change from Thomas Frank. Still 2-0 to Burnley. Just over 10 minutes to go at Turf Moor.
Thank you very much, Billy. Well, Brentford have gone for it. We're making 3 changes in the Liga. Osasuna have made 4 substitutions, Ethan Gardner.
Well, indeed they have, and I don't blame the manager, to be honest with you, because for a good hour of this game, they were giving Real Madrid a tough time, and suddenly they find themselves 3 goals down. In fact, they should be 4 goals down. Vinicius Jr. puts in one just wide not too long ago. He should have had a hat-trick, and Real Madrid dominating this one. So perhaps the thinking here is just to reduce the arrears a little bit for Osasuna, but after 70 minutes, they do still find themselves 3 goals down. It's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4 here.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Off to Kenilworth Road, Luton Town versus Nottingham Forest. Football Live normally bringing the goals. Now we're bringing you the subs, Paul James.
Yes, well, Nicholas Dominguez has come on for Morgan Gibbs-White, and also Danilo, I should say rather, is also readying himself on the bench. But there's been 1 substitution, Dominguez for Gibbs-White, which is a like-for-like substitution. It's Luton Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1. We have 7 minutes plus injury time to go.
Thank you very much, Paul. In League 1 in France, Nantes have found an equaliser against Strasbourg. It's Iré Comer with the goal. The Swiss defender coming up trumps for Nantes as they've leveled things up at home to Strasbourg. Portsmouth have scored a big goal in League 1. Peterborough 0, Portsmouth 1. Cassini Yengi with the goal as Portsmouth look to push for their promotion towards the Championship, and Ipswich scored a 5th goal at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Ali Al-Hamidi with the goal to make it Ipswich Town 5, Sheffield Wednesday 0. A thrashing for the Owls. St Johnstone have pulled a goal back against Celtic. Celtic 3, St Johnstone 1 is a latest score. Osasuna made a few changes a moment ago, and it's now Real Madrid's turn to make some changes, Ethan Gardner.
Yeah, Real Madrid making a couple of substitutions here, and if there's one thing you don't want to see today in the red and blue of Osasuna being 4-1 down, it's Luka Modric being brought on for Real Madrid. Now, that's just a little bit of a slap in the face, you have to say. He's going to surely come on and see this one out, controlling the midfield. And Nacho Fernandez is the other man coming on at centre-back, most likely for Aurelien Tchouameni, who's been deputising out of position most of today, but he's done an admirable job. Osasuna's 4 changes did include Ante Budimir, their goal scorer, coming off, and that was a surprise. So perhaps now the game, well, this one could well be done and dusted. After 72 minutes, it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4.
Game on at Turf Moor.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Burnley were coasting with their 2-goal lead, but Ayer has pulled one back to make it Burnley 2, Brentford 1. Could Burnley throw away another 2-goal lead? They'll be nervous for the remaining 7 minutes or go of this one as 10-man Brentford have got themselves right back into it. Christopher Ayer with the goal to make it Burnley 2, Brentford 1. Whilst we wait to hear about the details of that goal, let's go and hear about a change for Luton Town at home, desperate in need for a goal against Nottingham Forest.
Yes, that's right. Luke Berry has come on, and he's replaced Jordan Clark. So like for Luton there, as they're hunting an equaliser. Harry Toffolo went into the referee's notebook for a foul, and it is still 1-0 with 5 minutes to go.
Thank you very much, Paul. How Luton Town fans will be desperately hoping on that their side can find at least an equaliser in this game. They've got some big games to come. They've got Tottenham, Arsenal in their next two, and then Manchester City a couple of games after that with against Bournemouth sandwiched in between. You feel that they've got to get the points today against the teams in and around them. Let's go and hear about that big Brentford goal with Billy Andrews.
Yeah, it's the big man, Christophe Ager. Actually came from another fantastic opportunity. It was well worked between the two substitutes. Brian Mbeumo played it fantastically, put it on a plate for Keane Lewis Potter, but his shot was just deflected wide, and it's chaos in the Burnley box. Ivan Toney gets climbed all over by Muric, who does get the ball, and it looks like it could have been a penalty. It's waved away by Darren Bond, who must have left his glasses at home, I suppose, because he missed a penalty again in the first half. VAR review was ongoing, and Mbeumo whips a super ball in, and Christophe Ager is had to head it home via the post. He then celebrates in the referee's face and is booked for his troubles on the halfway line. So a chaotic goal and a chaotic game, but it's game on at Turf Moor. It's Burnley 2, 10-man Brentford 1.
Thank you very much, Billy. Those Burnley fans must be really biting their nails, sitting nervously as they remain the final 5 minutes or so of this game. Those Luton fans, of course, their team are a goal down, but they did score late last week against Crystal Palace to earn a point. It was very late as well to earn a share of the spoils at Selhurst Park. Those fans will be hoping that they can do the same again this afternoon. Let's bring you up to date with the scores in the Scottish Premiership. Celtic 3, St Johnstone 1, Hibs 3, Livingston 0, Kilmarnock 5, St Mirren 2. What a second half for Kilmarnock. They were 2 goals down at half time. Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 1, and Ross County 2, Hearts 0. In League 1, it's Nantes 1, Strasbourg 1. In our feature game in the Liga, Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4. In the English Championship, Birmingham 0, Watford 1. Sheffield Wednesday are losing 5-0 away at Ipswich Town. Middlesbrough 0, Blackburn 0, Plymouth 0, Preston North End 1, Rotherham 0, Huddersfield 0. There's been a goal at Kenilworth Road.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
They left it late last week against Crystal Palace. They've left it late this week at home to Nottingham Forest, but they have found the back of the net. It's Luton Town 1, Nottingham Forest 1. We've celebrated an equaliser for them before. It was ruled out for VAR. I don't think this one will be. Luton Town are level. A big goal at the foot of the English Premier League, and it's a big goal scored by Luke Berry. Although VAR are checking this goal. As I say, VAR surely can't be checking this goal. They are checking this goal. Oh, Luton Town fans, you have been put through the ringer here this afternoon. Have your team got an equaliser or not? We will keep you up to date with all the goings on at Kenilworth Road. Have Luton got themselves an equaliser in the 90th minute for their second week in a row? Oh, we're in the hands of the gods of Stockley Park. The goal has been given. You do have a goal. Take those fingernails out of your mouth. Your team are level. Your team are going to get a valuable point. Let's go and hear about it with Paul James.
Well, what about that? The corner, it was a corner on the right-hand side for Luton. It was swung in, and it was chested down by Tahith Chong. And there was the substitute, Luke Berry, just to turn the ball into the net. And what a genius move by Rob Edwards, because now Luton are level, and with 7 minutes of injury time to play, it's game on right now. It's 1-1.
Wow, what a big 7 minutes that would be. It would still leave the gap at the bottom to 3 points from Luton Town in that last relegation place. And Nottingham Forest, they would have 25 points. They'd be level with Everton. Of course, it was a lot worse for Luton Town a couple of moments ago. Let's go and hear how the nerves are holding on at Turf Moor, where Burnley are leading by just 2 goals to 1. Brentford pushing on for an equaliser, Billy Andrews.
Brentford are in the ascendancy, and it should be 2-2. It's a lovely ball in from the edge of the box on the right-hand side by Shandon Baptiste, and Keane Lewis Potter, the substitutes there. He wins the header, but he has to generate all the power. Flicks it on, and Muric is there. He's falling away, but he manages to hold on to it. Great chance to level things up, but the fans in Turf Moor, you can feel it. The nerves are in the air. Just over 5 minutes to go, and it's 2-1 to the home side.
Those minutes can't go by any quicker for those Burnley fans whose side do lead, but it is squeaky bum time for them. Let's go to the game in Spain. Osasuna versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid comfortably ahead in this one. How is this game just petering out, Ethan?
A little bit, yeah. Real Madrid have just brought on Lucas Vazquez for Toni Kroos, but in truth, Real Madrid are in control and just seeing this one out to take a 10-point lead in the Liga, of course, with Girona and Barcelona still to play. 79 minutes gone, but Real Madrid just dominating the ball, still working a couple of chances, but not really exerting themselves to the fullest. After 79 minutes, it's Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Ethan. There's going to be 9 minutes of added time at Turf Moor. 9 minutes for Burnley to hold on or for Brentford to find an equaliser. Oh, it does get interesting. It does get exciting at this crucial time of the season. Just before we do this, go and check in with Matt Smith ahead of the big FA Cup game between Manchester City and Newcastle United. Manchester City, their fans looking to repeat their heroics last year in this competition. They're still on course to repeat the same treble that they did conquer last season. Are their fans confident, expectant, complacent, a bit of all three? How do you sense the mood ahead of this one, Matt?
I think it's the mood is certainly in City's favour. I think if you're a Newcastle fan, I think you're looking at this game thinking, goodness me, it's probably the worst time to face Manchester City. They're on the up a little bit. They're back in form. Haaland is back in scoring form. Newcastle, on the other hand, are really struggling since the start of this season and maybe the back end of last season. They were all right and they're doing quite well, doing decent, and now they've really dropped off, and there's a little bit of worry, I think, with the Newcastle fans. I think there were better times in the season for them to face Manchester City. Manchester City fans will be forever confident, obviously, and I think on paper it is City's tie, but again, Wolves had the advantage, obviously, against Coventry and fluffed their lines, and Coventry are through to the semi-finals. Can Newcastle do the same? Big game, Dean.
Big game indeed, and it's kind of a mixed team, but any team that Pep Guardiola pulls out is going to be a pretty strong one. But looking at the fact that Haaland leading the line, expected, do you think that he would start today, or he's been a bit out of form, hasn't he? So maybe this is the kind of perfect game for him to get amongst the goals.
Certainly right. I think it is that sort of game, a big game for Haaland to really answer his critics and respond to his critics and get a goal, if not two. The likes of Kevin De Bruyne not supplying Haaland, I don't think that really bothers the Norwegian. He'll surely get a goal today, and if he doesn't, it's just on to the next one.
Indeed. Oh, well, all the action will bring you momentarily from the Etihad. Manchester City taking on Newcastle United for a place in the FA Cup semi-final. It's been a big chance at Turf Moor where Burnley were hanging on, but they almost alleviated their fears, didn't they?
So close from Wilson Odobert. The winger gets in behind Nathan Collins and gets in on goal. He takes too long to get a shot away, and Brentford get players back to clear. They're up the other end now, and it's a silly foul by Amdouni on Ivan Toney, 30 yards from goal. Now they've got a chance to flood this box full of their players. We know Christophe Ager is dangerous in the air. He scored the first goal. Could this be a chance? It's a silly foul from Anduni. I'll let you know as soon as anything happens. 2-1 at Turf Moor.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Al Hamadi has scored a second goal for Ipswich Town and their sixth of the afternoon to make it Ipswich 6, Sheffield Wednesday 0. A comfortable as it comes for the Tractor Boys at home to the Owls. It's time now to hand you back to Lagos, to FJ and the team. We'll bring you all of the full-time scores, the full-time reports from our featured games in the English Premier League. Currently Burnley 2, Brentford 1, Luton Town 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Osasuna 1, Real Madrid 4, as well as big goals as they go in from the big FA Cup game between Manchester City and Newcastle United, and the big Premier League game between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur. You've been listening to Dean Kilford. You've been listening to Football Live. It's time to hand you back to FJ and the team. We'll see you in 15.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, thank you very much, FJ and the team. I'm trying to find the answer to your quandary. Who scored the most goals in the games between Tottenham and Fulham? I know that Harry Kane equalled Tottenham's all-time goal-scoring record with a goal against Fulham. And I know that Tottenham have scored plenty of goals against Fulham in their history. There was an American that played and scored in this game for both sides. That player was Clint Dempsey, the American, as did Dimitar Berbatov. For both sides, their answers, but potentially to the wrong question. But they are some answers and some stats for you listening to this here on Football Live. It's been an amazing afternoon already. We've had 3 big games. Let's get some full time, starting with the big game at Turf Moor. Burnley 2, Brentford 1 was how it finished, but that doesn't even tell half the story of this game, Billy Andrews.
It so easily could have been 2-2 or even 3-2, but they started fantastically well, Burnley, and they got a penalty after 9 minutes after Darren Bond missed a shove from Sergio Reguilon in the back of Vitinho. He was sent over to the monitor. Red card for Reguilon and a penalty tucked away perfectly by Jakob Brun-Larsen to give them a lead after 10 minutes. But Brentford pushed, and even with 10 men for the first half, were largely the better side. A header from Ivan Toney, played in Johan Visser. He was one-on-one with Muric on his Premier League debut, of course, and he tipped it round the post. Dar Rocher almost gave Brentford a lifeline back into it, but his horrendous back pass was cleared off the line by Muric. And at the very end of the first half, David Fofana had a chance to make it 2-0. Lovely work from Assignon down on the byline to pull it across to give him the widest clear chance of an open goal he'll ever have in his career, and he put it about 3-4 foot wide. Anyone in the team today would have put that away. Anyone listening at home would have put it away. Second half started fantastically well. Again, this time it was Vitinho from distance who had a shot, but it was saved by Mark Flecken. But after 62 minutes, David Fofana was played in by Wilson Odibert. Lovely little lift on it to get it over the outstretched leg of Mark Flecken to double Burnley's lead. Christophe Ager got a goal back after 83 minutes to make it a little bit nervy at the end of the game. A lovely header in off the post. Got booked for celebrating in the goalkeeper's face after Darren Bond missed what could have been another penalty in the game. And at the very end, in the 98th minute, Brentford had the ball in the back of the net, but it was ruled out for a foul on Muric by Ivan Toney. He led with his elbow, clear foul on the Bosnian goalkeeper on his Premier League debut. It'll be difficult for James Trafford to get back into the side after that goalkeeper performance. A 4th win of the season for Burnley, but still 8 points away from safety. It finished at Turf Moor. Burnley 2, Brentford 1.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Billy. Another equally big game at the foot of the Premier League table featured Luton Town and Nottingham Forest. It needed another Luton late equaliser to earn a share of the spoils. Reporting for us from Kenilworth Road was Paul James.
Yes, well, it was one of those games where Forest just had a whole bunch of chances and didn't take them, and they paid the price. They took the lead on 34 minutes when Chris Wood tapped the ball into the net, but chances came after that for Alanga, Morgan Gibbs-White, Divock Origi hit the post, and Nottingham Forest were not able to capitalise and score any further And on 89th minute, on his 150th appearance for Luton, Luke Berry sticks in the equaliser for his first goal of the season, and it finishes here: Luton Town 1, Nottingham Forest 1.
Thank you very much, Paul James. What a big point that could be, particularly with the points deduction looming over Nottingham Forest. Could that be a big point in turn for Luton Town's survival? I can tell you Strasbourg have retaken the lead away at Nantes, and it's the big defender Emmanuel Amiga who has restored Strasbourg's league midway through the second half. Our big featured game in the Liga was Osasuna versus Real Madrid. As we were with FJ in the side, Osasuna pulled another goal back. It finished 4-2 in the end, but another statement victory for Los Blancos, Ethan Gardner.
Yes, indeed. Another 3 points on the board in their pursuit of a 36th La Liga title for Los Blancos Real Madrid. They got off to a very quick start here. Vinicius Jr. netting in just the 4th minute, but only 3 minutes later, Ante Budimir equalised for Osasuna. Dani Carvajal, Real Madrid's captain today, retook the lead after 18 minutes, and that was it for the first half in a game that could have gone either way. But in the second half, in the space of 3 minutes, Real Madrid opened up some daylight. Brahim Diaz and Vinicius Jr. adding a third and a fourth, and from then, Real Madrid were in control. They had the ball in the net for a 5th time late on, but Lucas Vazquez was denied by the offside flag. Iker Munoz pulled back a goal for Osasuna to make it 4-2, and they will rest on the knowledge that they've scored a 10th of the goals Real Madrid have conceded this season just today. But Real Madrid know that they've gone 10 points clear at the top of La Liga. They will carry on their pursuit of the title on the 31st of March when they host Bilbao. But for now, it's ended at the El Sadar Stadium. Osasuna 2, Real Madrid 4.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ethan. Of course, Girona are in action away at Getafe. We'll bring you all the goals from that big game in the Liga as they go in. The teams are making their way out onto the pitch at the Etihad. It's got a big game feel in this FA Cup quarter-final. Covering this game for us is Matt Smith. Is the atmosphere as electric as it looks?
It certainly is, Dean. It's, as you say, a big game. Newcastle, last reached the FA Cup semi-finals in 2005. So it's a long time since they've reached the semi-finals, and if they can beat City here, the treble winner City, it'll be monumentous. I think they'll be happy with a semi-final spot, that's for sure. For City, again, it might just look like business as usual. They beat City earlier in the Premier League earlier on this season in January. Kevin De Bruyne orchestrated a comeback of sorts. First with his right-footed sweep pass to Bravka to equalise, and then to set up Oscar Bob for that late winner. So again, on paper, City are odds on, but Newcastle, hey, you can't write them off just yet.
Indeed, you can't write them off, and an early goal in this one for the visitors could have those home fans nervous, although on such a long unbeaten run as Manchester City are, they just seem to turn it on at this stage of the season, don't they, Matt?
Yeah, they do indeed, and this is why they're treble champions, Manchester City. That's why they're so good in all competitions. They've got squad depth to die for. All these clubs that have all these long injury lists. Newcastle being one of them, really, and suspensions and bannings and all this stuff. Manchester City have got really good squad depth, and they're able to play in all these competitions and to a high level. Again, that comes down to recruitment. It comes down to the medical team. They're able to keep these players fit, and they're coming back fighting fit. So. It's again, credit's got to be due for the backroom staff behind Pep Guardiola that have kept this team fresh.
Indeed, thank you very much, Matt. We'll be back with you once that game kicks off and the action is underway at the Etihad. The team's also out onto the pitch at Craven Cottage, where Tottenham Hotspurs are the visitors in this London derby. How's the mood amongst the travelling support there, Ash?
Yeah, big game here at Craven Cottage, and the mood amongst the sport. The Tottenham fans are really jubilant in that away section, and they'll be looking to bounce themselves into the top 4 today with a win here at Craven Cottage. Spurs are really on great form, to be honest with you. They've been played really well over the last few weeks. They've won 9 out of 11 in all competitions, and beaten in 5 out of the last 6, and they've got a great record against Fulham here. They've won 7 in the last 7 against Fulham in the Premier League.
They have indeed. they've got a bit of a replacement at centre-back, a first start for the Romanian January transfer signing, Dragusin. Is that going to play with a bit of fear at the back, or do you think it'll be business as usual?
To be honest with you, it's going to be a mixed one for Dragusin, because it's his first start in the Premier League, playing with Christian Romero, and I think at the back, Spurs now play so high in terms of their line. Ange Postecoglou really gets them pressing really high. So if Dragusin's got that pace, he's going to really adapt, probably as soon as really quickly, to be fair. So I'm hoping that, or Spurs fans will be hoping that Dragusin will be able to keep that high line and push Spurs further and further up the pitch. As for Fulham, Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi, they're both Nigerian internationals. They both start today, and Iwobi will be looking to get himself on the score sheet and really get Fulham. It's kick-off here just in about a minute's time. It's Fulham versus Tottenham Hotspur.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Of course, Iwobi, with added incentive being a former Arsenal player. We've also kicked off at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City taking on Newcastle United. There's been a goal in the game in Serie A involving Salernitana and Lecce, and it's Lecce who have taken the lead. It's an own goal by Guiumba as the away side have taken the lead there. It's going to be an early chance for Fulham in the game at Craven Cottage as the home side starting on the front foot. They've had some good results in recent weeks, particularly in London derbies, where they put 5 past West Ham just a couple of weeks ago. Games just kicking off in our featured late games. Let's go and check in with John Kane and get the latest odds, powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Let's start with let's start with the FA Cup. It just kicked off a minute gone. It's still Man City 0, Newcastle 0. The odds on that, as expected, is more favourable for Manchester City Al Ittihad. They are 1.25 for the win. The draw is 6.50, and away win for Newcastle is 10.0. Of course, all these odds are for 90 minutes only. Now, if you're interested in some goals, if you think it's going to be over 3.5 goals, is 1.91, and if you think it's over 4.5 goals, is 2.88. As far as the first half is concerned, well, if you think it's going to be over 1.5 goals in the first half, regardless of who scored it, is 1.80, and if you think it's over 2.5 goals in the first half, is 3.30. Player market wise, well, as you expect, Phil Foden, he is 2.40 to score anytime. You got people like Kovacic, he is 5.25 to score anytime. Oscar Bob is 2.80 to score anytime. And if you want to go for someone even more safer, Erling Haaland is 1.48 to score anytime, but I'll probably guarantee you money if he scores. Other outsiders, however, Jamal Lascelles, he's 21.0 to score anytime. Sean Longstaff, he's 8.50. Of course, there are many others on their website. If we go into the Premier League game between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur, it's still 0-0 after 3.5 minutes. Fulham are 3.30 for the win. The draw is 4.0, and away win for Spurs is 2.05. Again, if you're after some goals, if you think it's over 3.5 goals in the game, it's 2.15, and if you think it's over 4.5 goals, it's 3.50. Also, as far as this game is concerned, I know Spurs won 4-0 at Villa last weekend. If you think Spurs will do the same, they are 34.0 for Spurs to win 4-0. I'm not saying it will happen, but if you believe in miracles, well, that's one of them. As far as the first half is concerned, well, over 1.5 goals in the first half in that game in the Premier League, 2.05, and if it's over 2.5 goals in the game in the first half between Fulham and Spurs, is 4.0. Now, finally, player-wise, well, any player to score any time, literally any time. Pedro Porro. He is 9.0 to score anytime. Richarlison 2.35 to score anytime. And if you're looking for someone like Timo Werner, he's 3.25. Cristiano Romero, he's 8.0. And we know he's good with yellow cards, but he's good in scoring goals as well. Calvin Bassey, if you think he'll score any time, he is 15.0. And I'm just looking for the other Nigerian. Alex Iwobi, if you think he'll score any time in the game, he is 3.30. Of course, all these prices from Nairabet, and is all subject to change.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, John. Let's go straight to Craven Cottage, where the home side have made a flying start, Ash Sanderfield.
Yeah, super swift start here at Craven Cottage. It's still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. But it was a great chance down, breakdown on the right-hand side in the end. I think it was Alex Pereira. Pereira just kind of chopped in the middle and smashed it as hard as he could with the right foot. Keeper parried it out, and then it was Muniz, the Brazilian international, tried to get the rebound. Again, got blocked by the defender. Half chance for Fulham, but started really, really quick out of the blocks. Fulham here. The Spurs centre-half, Dragerson, hasn't started very well. He's given away possession twice on 2 occasions and knocked the ball out of play with a simple pass out onto the left-hand side, which Ndogi couldn't really reach. So poor start from Tottenham Hotspur. Fulham on the ascendancy. It's Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Let's go and check in with the early goings on the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City versus Newcastle United. A big game as it lived up to its potential inside the opening couple of minutes there, Matt.
Well, Manchester City have certainly lived up to their potential. The opening 5.5 minutes has been all City. 85% of the ball possession. Newcastle are, like I expected, having a bank of 5 defenders when City have the ball and really getting every man behind that ball. So it's again, we know that City are vulnerable, and they have been vulnerable in the past for counter-attacks from the opposition team, and I think that's what Eddie Howe is setting up, really. Jacob Murphy is a right wing-back. You've got Dan Burn as a left wing-back. And really, when Newcastle get the ball forward, it is launching a counter-attack. They had a little bit of a half chance, but it was intercepted by a City defender. Jacob Murphy got forward and tried to whip one of those those real curling balls across the City defence. And Ruben Diaz got his foot there and cleared it away. But no shots recorded yet. 6 minutes in, Man City 0, Newcastle 0.
So thank you very much, Matt. In a big game in the Turkish Super League, Antalyaspor have opened the scoring away at Besiktas. Shot could be on the cards here. Balci with the goal to make it Besiktas 0, Antalyaspor 1. That's the latest score in the Turkish Super League. The other game going on, Adana Demirspor versus Sivasspor, still goalless after 8 minutes. We've kicked off in the Liga. Getafe 0, Girona 0 after just 5 minutes in La Liga. And Lecce still leading by goal to 0 against Salernitana in Serie A. There's about 10 minutes to go before the interval in that game. About 12 minutes left to go in the game in League between Nantes and Strasbourg. It's still Strasbourg that lead by 2-1. Omega's goal on the hour looks to be the difference between the two sides. That was after Gamiro had opened the scoring for Strasbourg after 3 minutes. But Comer's goal in the 36th minute levelled things up going into the break. But that Strasbourg goal has made it 2-1 to the visitors. And I believe Strasbourg have just scored a third goal in that game. So Nantes 1, Strasbourg 3 is a latest score. And we really do bring the goals as they go in. The ball in the back of the net. And surely there should be 3 points to the visiting side. And that result for Strasbourg would lift them 4 points clear of the home side. Nantes, who would remain in the bottom 3 in that relegation playoff place. Strasbourg would be 4 points clear of them. So it really is a big game down at the bottom of League. Let's go back to the Etihad Stadium. We've had the first half chance of the evening, Matt Smith.
Yeah, still not a recorded shot, but there are signs that City are knocking on the door this early in the game. Phil Foden's picked the ball up from Rodri, sort of just inside the Newcastle half. He's got a little bit of trickery to slip past Sean Longstaff, and he's played through Jeremy Doku. We know Doku's got lightning pace, and this time it's facing Jacob Murphy, who's blessed with pace himself, and this time steps across Jeremy Doku, wins the ball and ushers it, and Dubravka can collect. But again, early signs that City are in control, and early signs that Newcastle are no mugs. They're happy to soak this pressure up, and they're happy to launch counter-attacks after a counter-attack. But 8 minutes in, it's still Man City 0, Newcastle 0.
Thanks, Matt. Now, of course, Manchester City and Newcastle both started this season in the Champions League places. What's the feeling around the Etihad with that big Champions League draw against Real Madrid?
Well, I think it's going to be, again, arguably one of the biggest games of their season, I would guess. Real Madrid, again, are in superb form, and they have been all season. The likes of Jude Bellingham really leading Real Madrid to the height of heights. They could have maybe got an easier tie elsewhere, but I don't think it's one of those ties where Man City fans and players will be scared or frightened of the size of Real Madrid and the club and the form they're in. I think with the confidence that these players on this pitch right now have, I think they'll be looking forward to the Madrid game, both legs, both home and away. But I think it's I certainly wouldn't write them off. Man City can certainly give Madrid a good game.
Indeed, I think they can. I think over 2 legs, Manchester City probably would be the favourites against any team in the world, wouldn't you think?
You'd argue that, definitely, especially with that treble winners across their stadium. Everywhere you go, it's treble winners. And that, again, some teams would maybe look at that and go, that's extra pressure. But I think it's, this is the difference between City and other teams that have done the treble. Is that, no, they want to go and do it again. There's next season, there's the season after. They want to try and rule the earth, and they're going to try and rule it forevermore.
Indeed, time will tell whether they will rule forevermore. But right now, they've got a Newcastle United team to overcome if they want to retain their FA Cup trophy. Let's go back down to Craven Cottage. A potential shout for a penalty, Ash Sanderford.
Yeah, kind of a half shout for a penalty. It's still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. It was a free kick on the right-hand side with a poor challenge, actually, in the end from Anthony Robertson. Could have got himself a booking. In the end, he got away with it. It was a bad challenge on Romero. And in the end, it was a free kick from James Maddison. Whipped in ball. And I think it was Son tried to hook the ball towards the goalkeeper. It's literally deflected off the Fulham defender, then hit Castagna on the arm. To be honest with you, no way it could have been a penalty. But, they have been given those type of things this season. Referee immediately ruled it out. Didn't even think it could go to VAR in the end. But I have seen them given. So Fulham can count themselves lucky. But Tottenham Hotspur just starting to creep themselves into the game. And as it stands, about 12 minutes in, it's Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. So the nerves seem to be settling from the away side. Tottenham have been slow starters in recent weeks. It's been the second half of games which has seen them push on. Of course, it was goalless at Villa Park going into the break before Tottenham ran away 4-0 winners. And the week before, they were a goal down to Crystal Palace before winning 3-1 with 3 late goals in 11 minutes. Been another goal in the Turkish Super League where Adana Demirspor have taken the lead against Sivasspor. 13 minutes gone. Adana Demirspor 1, Sivasspor 0 in that one. Still goalless at the Etihad. Newcastle United holding firm in the opening 13 minutes of that game. Manchester City 0, Newcastle United 0. Still goalless in our feature game in the English Premier League. The late kickoff between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur, goalless as it stands. Earlier on, we had 2 fantastic games at the foot of the English Premier League, but there has been an opening goal in the English FA Cup.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it will come as no surprise, certainly to Matt Smith, that it's Manchester City that have taken the lead. It's Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0. Let's go and hear about that goal with Matt Smith.
Well, we knew it was coming. It certainly was. 12 minutes, Man City have dominated. Newcastle haven't had a sniff in the attacking sense. But it started there, Man City are camped in the Newcastle defensive third. Rodri's trying to find a pass. It goes all the way out wide to Bernardo Silva. Puts it onto his right foot, Bernardo Silva, and I think it's a deflection. It's a nasty deflection in terms of a Newcastle perspective. Puts it on his right foot. I think it might be Botman that gets the deflection. Maybe even Dan Burn, and it loops all the way over Martin Dubravka. It's an absolute sickener for Newcastle fans, but it's the first shot recorded. It's a deflection, but City will not care. 13 minutes in, Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0.
Indeed, you need luck to go your way if you're to get anything from the Etihad Stadium, and luck was certainly not on Botman's side there as his attempt to block the efforts sees it spill away from the goalkeeper and into the back of the net to give Manchester City the lead. Correction, it was Dan Burn, we believe, who the shot was deflected off. Let's go back down to Craven Cottage. Last we heard Tottenham had a shout for a penalty and they'd settled in well. Is that still the case, Sandiford?
Yeah, Tottenham have settled down well. Still Tottenham, Fulham nil, Tottenham nil. But Fulham are really passing the ball, really impressing me, to be honest with you. Calvin Bassey, the Nigerian international at the back, is really comfortable on the ball. I'll be really surprised if he still stays at Fulham over the next 2 or 3 seasons. A lot of the top Premier League clubs will be looking really closely at the Nigerian international because he is really commanding at the back, really comfortable on the ball, lovely left foot. But to be honest with you, Fulham are really passing the ball out really well. Tottenham Hotspur are trying to play on the counter-attack at the moment, which is surprisingly, as they usually push up quite high up the pitch. But the game's settled down at the moment. Not really many shots over the last 3 or 4 minutes or so. And about 15 minutes has gone. It's still Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Let's go and peer up that deflected effort with Matt Smith. Was it Dan Burn, the unfortunate man in a black and white shirt?
Yeah, it was Dan Burn. Yes, I think, again, when obviously a City player gets into that final third, Newcastle players were obviously hounding him. And Bernardo Silva's got those tricky little feet that he's able to, deflect any sort of any pressure from the Newcastle defenders. He's got, same as Foden, same as Alvarez. We talk about all these City players that have got real nice, sharp feet. And Bernardo Silva's another one of them. And Dan Burn puts his leg out, a little bit of a lazy leg. But it's an absolute sickener if you're a Newcastle fan. After the 10, 12 minutes of good hard work in defending, it's only really a matter of time before City scored. They are a top side, an elite side, and this is what elite sides do. 15 minutes played, City 1, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Manchester City's big rivals, Manchester United, are also in FA Cup action tomorrow afternoon. They've got what proves to be possibly the biggest game of the round as they take on Liverpool for a place in the semi-final. And we caught up with Erik ten Hag ahead of this one, just about how much this means to Manchester United.
It's there's some games are bigger than others, that's definitely, and I think Manchester United Liverpool, that's always a big game, but especially when it's quarter-final FA Cup, we're really looking forward. It's a special game, absolutely. Yeah, but of course, to the fans, they see it as a very big game, and they are very eager for us to win this, and I'm sure they will ride behind us. And as you mentioned, there are more Liverpool fans, so they have to be really loud to support us, that we had them. But I'm convinced they will do that.
Indeed, it's a big game and potentially a season-defining game from Erik ten Hag. His Manchester United side not out the race for a Champions League position, particularly with the coefficient rankings, which might mean there'll be 5 teams from England to qualify for next season's competition. That's, of course, still up in the air. But what they can control is whether they progress through to the next round of the FA Cup. And it doesn't get much bigger and much harder than taking on a Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side, who are on course for an unprecedented quadruple this season. They already won the Carabao Cup. They were absolutely brilliant on Thursday night against Sparta Prague in the Europa League. And of course, they're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, as well as being in one of the tightest title races the Premier League has seen in recent years. I can tell you about a big goal in the Bundesliga. Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 1. And it's Millot with the goal that has given Stuttgart the lead in that one. Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 1. Let's go and hear about a booking for Newcastle in the FA Cup game at the Etihad with Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's a booking for Fabian Schär. It's going to be a good battle to see Haaland and Schär against each other. The ball comes into Erling Haaland, and Schär, I've seen replays of it. I do think that Schär actually gets there before Haaland and gets the ball, but I think it's the speed at which the tackle comes in and the angle at which the tackle comes in. It looks a little bit dangerous, and Simon Hooper, the referee, gives him a yellow card. A little bit harsh. It's maybe his first offence, but again, you can't go diving in like that. Even if you do get the ball, a little bit of care on Simon Hooper's part. So the first booking goes to Cher. 18 minutes in, I'll have to be very, very careful for the rest of this game now, the Newcastle defender. It's Man City 1, Newcastle 0 after 18 minutes.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Half-time whistle's gone in Serie A. Salernitana 0, Lecce 1. We're into the final minutes in League and Nantes 1, Strasbourg 3. Let's go back to Craven Cottage. Fulham against Tottenham. Is this game shaping up to be an exciting one? Has it just settled down a bit here, Ash?
Yeah, it's settled down. Still Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. But I'll tell you something, it's really exciting the way how Rodrigo Muniz is running in between the lines and really causing havoc at the back for Tottenham Hotspur. There was a big shout, actually, for a goal-scoring opportunity where he thought he'd been dragged down from Dragusin, to be honest with you. Excuse the pun. And he's trying to go through on goal, and I think he's kind of, I wouldn't say dive, but he's tried to make contact with Dragusin. In the end, the referee, Robert Jones, is just waved his arms completely straight away, said, no, not a chance in hell. No way there was any contact at all there. So there was but if there was any contact, could have been a big opportunity for a red card for Dragusin. So there wasn't any contact. And then down the other end, I think it was Tottenham Hotspur on the right-hand side. I think it was Son breaking down the right, tried to cut it back to Kulovetsky. And Kulovetsky, in the end, just kind of lost the ball. It was a good opportunity for him because of a poor mistake from Anthony Robertson. Again, the American international. He keeps losing the ball on that left-hand side because he does take a lot of chances. But in the end, it's still, the game's settling out. There's not really much happening at the moment, but it's still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. There's still goalless there. Still Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0. Manchester City looking to put their name into the hat and join Coventry City. There'll be 2 sky blue teams in the semi-final draw in the Liga. Getafe 0, Girona 0 is the latest score. And we've just kicked off in the Eredivisie. Sittard 0, Zwolle 0 is the latest score after 6 minutes. In the Turkish Superliga, Adana Demirspor 1, Sivasspor 0, and Besiktas 0, Antalyaspor 1 is the latest score. Big shot could be on the cards in that game. So let's just check back in with Matt Smith at the Etihad. Manchester City in complete control. What do you think Eddie Howe needs to do? He changed his system coming into this game. It's kind of backfired on him, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has. I think he was obviously started this game thinking we can soak up as much pressure as we can. Again, sometimes things don't go your way. He's obviously been a little bit unlucky. Guardiola will be happy with the luck that he's got. Without that little deflection, it's still 0-0, you know. So, goodness me, it must be very frustrating from Eddie Howe's perspective. But it's a cup game. You may be thinking if it's still 1-0 at half-time, you maybe throw something a little bit more attacking-wise in the second half and you just go for it. I think if you stay with 5 at the back, it's, you know, it's a little bit negative. You don't want to lose 1-0 without even giving it a go. If you lose 2-0, 3-0, when you've given it your all, I think you come out with a little bit more respect on my part. But I think that's maybe what Eddie Howe will do. Newcastle just had a little flutter of half chances, a corner here, corner there. Still not registered a shot on goal in the opening 22 minutes, Newcastle. But it's Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. We mentioned earlier on, we heard from Erik ten Hag, the big game, Manchester United versus Liverpool tomorrow afternoon. We'll be covering here on Football Live. It's only right then we should hear from the Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp, on his thoughts against this big game.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you call enjoyment, but I'm looking forward to it. So it's a good thing. Come on, we can take 9,000 people, I think. More tickets, 9,000 people, Old Trafford, Manchester United. Yeah, that's definitely. Ask me after the game if I enjoyed it. But before the game, it's just work. We try to be as good prepared as somehow possible, and United had obviously a full week to prepare. Erik ten Hag is a really good manager. He will prepare them. He knows exactly how we play, so we'll face there some challenges we don't know in the moment. That's how it is. We don't have this time to prepare like this for an opponent and have to be ready anyway. So yes, as much as it is possible, I enjoy it.
I don't know if enjoy is the right word, as Jurgen Klopp just said, but it is a big game, and that's why you're here. You're here for those big games, and Liverpool are certainly involved in more than most. Manchester United versus Liverpool for a place in the FA Cup semi-final. Let's go back to Craven Cottage quickly, where there's been a big chance in that game. Fulham versus Tottenham Hotspur at Sanderford.
Oh, what a chance here at Craven Cottage. It's still Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil. It was a great break down the left-hand side from Fulham in the end. It's Anthony Robertson, again, really committing defenders and pushing forward. He gets himself to the byline, cuts the ball back to Rodrigo Muniz. And Muniz is literally just hit it first time. All he's got to do is make a little bit of contact on that ball, and it's going straight in the back of the net, and he's just miscued the ball completely. Huge chance for Fulham. Craven Cottage faithful who are going head in hands. It's a really great chance for Fulham, but it's still 25 minutes in. It's Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil.
Very much, we're midway through the big FA Cup game between Manchester City and Newcastle. We're midway through our big Premier League game between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur. It's time to check in with John Kane to get the latest odds, powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. As you just heard, Man City are leading Newcastle in the FA Cup by a goal to nil after 24 minutes. Manchester City's odds are 1.25. In fact, it's gone up to 1.13. The draw has gone down to 8.50, and the away win for Newcastle is 19.0. If you're looking for some goals in the first half, if you think it'll be over 1.5 goals in the first half, is 1.57, and if you think it's over 2.5 goals in the first half, is 3.25. The other game in the Premier League between Fulham and Spurs is still 0-0 after 26 minutes. Fulham are 3.0 for the win. The draw is 3.60, and away win for Spurs is 2.25. And again, if you're looking for some goals in the first half, if you think it's going to be over 0.5 goals, is 1.57. If you think it's over 1.5 goals, is 3.30. Now, if you think Fulham will have in fact, yes, if you think Fulham will have over 0.5 goals in the first half, it's 2.60. That's only the first half only. And if you think Spurs will have over 0.4 goals in the first half, they are 2.30. Some other games are happening as well at the moment. Getafe against Girona, 22 minutes gone, it's still 0-0. Getafe are 3.80 to win. The draw is 3.10, and away win for Girona are slightly favourites, are 2.15. Salernitana are losing at home to Lecce by a goal to nil at half time. Salernitana are 9.50 for the win. The draw is 4.0, and away win for Lecce is 1.44. Hoffenheim and Stuttgart leading away by a goal to nil after 25 minutes. Hoffenheim are 10.0 for the win. The draw is 6.50, and Stuttgart finally to win that game are 1.25. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet and is all subject to change.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join Corner where the big boys play.
Secure an instant win with NairaBet when your team leads by 2 goals in the match. How many times has one of your betting selections had a meltdown after going 2 goals up? Don't stress. With our new 2 goals up market, if your selection goes 2 or more goals ahead at any stage in the match, then your selection will be settled as a winner, regardless of the final match result. Place your bets on the 2 goals up football market at www.nairabet.com. Include the 2 goals up selections in your bet slip with as many other selections as you want. For more details, check out our promotions page. Full terms and conditions apply. Must be over 18. Bets placed on the match winner market do not qualify. Market available on pre-match bets only. Please gamble responsibly.
And it's time to get straight into the action.
Oh, they've left it late. They've left it so late. What an absolute beauty.
Fantastic save.
It's game, set and match.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air.
Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Coming up tomorrow on Football Live. Manchester United.
Please.
Against Liverpool.
Yeah!
Around the grounds, chasing the goal.
1, 2, 3, run it!
The Premier League, the Bundesliga,
Serie A, the Saudi Pro League, La Liga, French League 1.
Let it hit on.
Around the grounds, chasing the goals.
You are listening to Football Live.
Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
A good type of game of football.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Let's go straight back to Craven Cottage, who have been chances at both ends, Ash Sanderford.
Yeah, chances at both ends. It's still Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil. First chance was for Tottenham Hotspur in the end with a great breakdown of the left-hand side. James Maddison pulling the strings again, as usual. For Tottenham Hotspur, he's cut the ball back to Son, and Son just tried to open up his body, side-footed. He's just blazed it over the bar. Great opportunity. Usually you put your money on Son hitting the back of the net from just inside the 18-yard box. Then straight down the other end, it was William in the middle of the park, literally going down the middle of the park. No one near him at all. Not one Tottenham defender in sight. He's flipped it down the side to Alex Iwobi. Iwobi's had the chance to kind of shoot, but he's cut it back to William again, and William smashed it as hard as he could. Keepers parried it out to the right-hand side, and just a few moments later, again, another chance for Tottenham Hotspur. Maddison again on the ball, pulling the strings. Flicked it down the left-hand side to Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson's really one-on-one with the keeper, to be honest with you. Should have done a lot better, and he just blazed it. Probably, I'd say, good opportunity with his right foot, but with a bit more composure, he probably could have finished. But yeah, end-to-end stuff here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Fulham have had 6 shots already in this first half an hour, 2 on target. Tottenham with 3, just the 1 on target. Let's go back to the Etihad. We'll go back to the Etihad, where Manchester City lead by a goal to 0, and Newcastle have another booking to contend with, Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's another booking for Newcastle. It's another centre-back. It's Jamal Lascelles this time with the booking. I tell you now, Jeremy Doku looks like the star man of this team right now. Erling Haaland maybe is not the man that is the star man. It's Jeremy Doku, the Belgian. He's blistering pace. He's going in and out of Newcastle defenders, making them look very, very silly. And Jamal Lascelles, the captain, leads by example and says, well, let's have enough of that. And he pulls him straight back down to the floor. And Simon Hooper has no choice but to give the captain a yellow card. City, again, been dominant for the last 2-3 minutes. It's still Man City 1, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, Billy. It was Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. That's the scoreline no longer.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
The Newcastle players are shaking their heads. The Manchester City fans are joined. Matt Smith, sorry, I called you Billy there momentarily. Matt Smith, tell us about this Manchester City second goal.
That's okay, I've been called a lot worse, Dean. It's I believe it's Bernardo Silva again coming in from the right side, puts it onto his left this time, and I have to say it's another deflection. I think it's off Sven Botman this time. Bernardo Silva is trying to beat Dan Burn, puts it on his left, he beats Willock as well. Sven Botman's got his hand behind his back, again trying to avoid a handball, and he's tried to maybe nod it towards, anywhere but the goal, and it's only glanced off his head, and it's sent Dubravka the wrong way. Dubravka can't get anywhere near it. It's 2 deflected goals for Bernardo Silva, and it's Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
History repeating itself for Bernardo Silva and for Manchester City. Not that their fans will be complaining. It looks to be a comfortable passage into the semi-finals for their side. And let's go back to Craven Cottage, where Tottenham Hotspur were very close to breaking the deadlock, Ash Sanderford.
Oh, what a chance for Tottenham Hotspur. Still Fulham nil, Tottenham Hotspur nil. And there's a great break again from Tottenham Hotspur, building from the back. And they've managed to get Destiny Ndoye on the left-hand side with pretty much acres of space. And he's gone past Timothy Castagna quite easily. He's near enough got to the edge of the 18-yard line. He's cut it back to James Maddison. And Maddison's got time to have a cup of tea. He's controlled it, he's looked up, and he's just tried to slot it home just to the goalkeeper's nearest post. And it looked like he actually finished it because it rustled the side of the net. It actually hit the goalkeeper's water bottle. It was just on the side, but it looked like it rustled the net. I think the Tottenham fans were in jubilation in the stands, but it was no goal. It's obviously gone wide, and it's still 0-0. So great opportunity for Tottenham Hotspur, but as it stands, it's Fulham 0, Tottenham 0.
Good stuff there. Thank you very much, Ash. It's finished in League and Nantes 1, Strasbourg 3. Gamira opened the scoring after 3 minutes for the visitors before Comer equalised 10 minutes before the break. Omega restored the visitors' lead on the hour mark before he added his second just 16 minutes later to produce a comfortable victory, a convincing victory for Strasbourg as they push their way away from the relegation zone in League One and keep Nantes right back in the relegation places, or at least the relegation playoff places. We're into the second half. Salernitana 0, Lecce 1 in Serie A. In our feature games here on Football Live, you just heard about Bernardo Silva's second deflected goal, which has given Manchester City a 2-goal lead at home to Newcastle United, and surely book their place through to the next round of the FA Cup semi-finals. No doubt another trip to Wembley for those Manchester City fans. In the English Premier League, Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Chances starting to flow for both sides in that game. And in League, in Serie A, in the Liga, Getafe 0, Girona 0. Girona needing to get all 3 points to try and keep on the coattails of league leaders Real Madrid, who earlier on Football Live beat Osasuna by 4-2, although in truth it could have been a lot more than that. In the Turkish Super League, Adana Demirspor 1, Sivasspor 0 is the latest score 10 minutes before the break in that one. Besiktas 0, Antalyaspor 1 is also a latest score. In the Eredivisie, we're about 20 minutes gone. Sitar 0, Sval 0 is a latest score. Let's go back to the game at the Etihad. Manchester City 2 goals to the good have been in control for pretty much the entirety of the opening 35 minutes. Any signs of a Newcastle change in tactics, or even a chance of them getting into this one, Matt Smith?
I have to say, Dean, that Newcastle have been off it defensively. I have to tell you that. I don't know whether that's the introduction of this back five that Eddie Howe's tried to implement. Going forward, they look as tasty and as decent as ever, getting these crosses in and trying to piece something together. But Newcastle don't really look as if they're going to try and get a goal here at all. Just saying that, Alexander Isak, I believe, maybe it was Joe Willock, has just had a shot saved from Ortega. Their first shot of the game, 35 minutes it took them, and forced a good save from the City keeper. So he's not so cold anymore, Ortega. Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Let's get ourselves back down to Craven Cottage. Still goalless. Any signs of a breakthrough, West Sandford?
Yeah, still lots of end-to-end stuff and lots of energy between both teams. It's still Tottenham 0. Fulham 0, Tottenham 0. James Maddison and Paulina had a little bit of a coming together, I would say, in the middle of the park. Maddison's just he's lost the ball, Maddison. He's desperate to get the ball back because he's lost it in possession in the middle of the park. He's caught Paulina really, really late. And in the end, the referee, Robert Jones, has let the play go on. But in the end, I think he could have brought it back for a bookie, but Maddison's got away with that one, I think. And Tottenham will be relieved because Maddison can play with a bit of an edge sometime. But there's been no shots over the last couple of minutes, which is quite strange, as I think Fulham's had 6 shots in the game and Tottenham have had 3, 1 on target for Tottenham, 2 on target for Fulham. So they're both at it. And yeah, the game's really, really high-paced at the moment, but I reckon the goals are coming here on Football Live any moment now. So as it stands, it's still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Indeed, Ash. We always try and guarantee you goals, and there'll be fans in West London of the white of Fulham and in the changed navy blue of Tottenham that will be hoping that they're the team that get the goal. There's been a big goal in the Liga.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And Girona, who are in desperate need of the points to keep tabs on league leaders Real Madrid, are behind to Getafe. And it's Santiago with the finish 10 minutes before the break to make it Getafe 1, Girona 0. It's time now to check in with John Kane once more and get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Man City's odds are suspended, understandably so, 2-0 up after 37 minutes. The draw, however, is 21.0, and Newcastle to win the game in 90 minutes are 51.0. But if you think they can win the tie, so in any kind of way, shape or form, they are 41.0. Let's talk about the first half. It seems to be over 2.5 goals in the first half there, only 2.50, Everything's over 3.5 goals, they're 7.0. So they are expecting another goal in the first half, that's for sure. Fulham Spurs, 39 minutes gone, it's still 0-0. Fulham are 3.40 for the win. The draw is 3.40 as well. And away win for Spurs is slightly favourite on 2.20. Looking at the goals, over 2.5 goals on the match, they're 2.10. And over 3.5 goals are 3.75. As far as goals in the first half are concerned, if you think it's over 0.5 goals in the first half, the 2.88, and if you think it's over 1.5 goals in the next 6 minutes plus stoppage time in the first half, it's 8.0. Some of the other games are happening at the moment. You've just heard from Dean Kilford. Getafe are leading Girona by 1-0 after 36 minutes. Getafe are only 1.85 for the win. The draw is 3.40, and Girona to win that game are 4.50. Never underestimate Girona. They've been having a great season so far. The German Bundesliga, Hoffenheim are losing at home to Stuttgart by 1-0 after 39 minutes. Hoffenheim are 12.0 to turn it around. The draw is 6.50, and away win for Stuttgart at 1.22. Started the second half, 5 minutes into the second half, in fact, in the Serie A between Salernitana and Lecce. Lecce are leading away by 1-0. Salernitana at home have just gone up to only 11.0, so it's quite good odds at home, even though they're losing by 1-0. The draw is 4.20, and away win for Lecce to maintain that lead at 1.40. In the Dutch Eredivisie, Fortuna Sittard at home, they are 0-0 at the moment against PSV Zwolle. Fortuna Sittard at 1.83 for the win. The draw is 3.30, and away win for Zwolle are 5.0. Of course, all these prizes from Nairabet, and is all subject to change.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, as always, John. Let's go back to Craven Cottage, where there was a potential injury concern for both teams, as Sanderford.
Yeah, still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0, but both sides, to be honest with you, Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur, the management and the crowd and the players would have been really worried about this clash. Two of their probably most influential players, I would say, for each side. So it's Palhinha and Heung-min Son. They've both come into the 50-50 challenge. They've both kind of tried to get the ball at the same time bang in the middle of the park. And they've both gone down, both missed the ball and clashed and clattered into each other. Really looked really nasty, to be honest with you. In the end, it came to nothing. But yeah, as it stands, it's still Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Thank you very much, Sanderford. No longer is that the scoreline at Craven Cottage.
The goals, powered by Nairabet.
And it's that man again, Rodrigo Muniz, who's given Fulham the lead at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. It's his 6th goal in his last 5 games. He just can't stop scoring, and he's given Fulham the lead again at Craven Cottage to make it Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. What a goal from the Fulham star striker, Ash Sanderford.
What a goal and what a finish from the Brazilian Rodrigo Muniz. What an absolute fantastic finish. In the end, it was broke down on the left-hand side. It was Anthony Robertson. He's been right in the thick of things, to be honest with you. He just had a massive clash with Kulevetsky on the left-hand side. Nearly got booked for it, but his head's up. He's carried on. He's popped the ball in. Pereira just popped it to Anthony Robertson, and he's put in a fantastic ball on the left-hand side. One bounce, great touch from Muniz, and he smashed it across the goalkeeper. What a finish from Muniz. It's a great finish. He scored his, I think, 6th goal in 7 Premier League games. I think he was on loan at Middlesbrough last season. Didn't even get a goal in 22 games. It's a great finish, and Fulham now go 1-0 up. It's Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
There was a lengthy VAR check on that one for a potential offside. There was absolutely no way he was offside. Yeah, 6 and 7 for Muniz, and Fulham lead in what has been a very entertaining game at Craven Cottage. Let's go back to the Etihad. Manchester City comfortably 2-0 up last time we heard. Is that still the case, Matt Smith?
Yes, still comfortable. Phil Foden most recently has had another big chance to extend City's lead. The ball has come with his back to goal, and he's flicked it, through his legs, behind Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles, and he's pacing towards the goal. And it's Bruno Guimaraes who covers across and puts Phil Foden off enough for the City man to clear his shot way over the bar. About 2 minutes before that, Alexander Isak has had the biggest chance Newcastle were given in this first half. It's a long ball from Jacob Murphy all the way to the back post, and Dan Burn, the giant Dan Burn, is there. He nods it down to Alexander Isak, and really, Isak's only really got to put it anywhere but the middle of the goal where Ortega's standing, and of course he puts it right down the goalie's throat. I think if you're thinking about it, it's a big chance for Newcastle to get back into this game, and it goes a begging. They'll be regretting that, and Isak certainly will. 43 minutes played, Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. So just give you the latest odds powered by NeuroBet. Of course, these odds subject to change. Fulham 1.91 for the victory now with the goal leads, and with 2 minutes of injury time to be played at the end of the first half. It'll be 3.6 for the draw, or 4.0 for Tottenham to come from behind and win. And no team has come from behind and got more points than Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go straight back to the Etihad, where Manchester City were close to extending their lead. Matt Smith.
Goodness me, it's a fantastic through ball, I believe, from Akanji, who's sort of higher than what's it called, the needle in the haystack, whatever you call it. It's a real nice ball through about 3 or 4 Newcastle players. I don't know how he's seen that pass, but he's found the path of Jeremy Doku, and Jeremy Doku, with his blistering pace, has only really got Dubravka to beat. And I think he's got, again, another Newcastle defender just putting him off to the right of him and can't really get that confident finish past the keeper. City should be away with this. It's only 2-0 to Manchester City, but it should be 3 or 4. Gone about into the 45th minute now. It is Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Manchester City with 9 shots, 3 on target. Newcastle just a 1 effort on goal. That effort on target just a few moments ago. But it's been a long, difficult evening for those travelling Newcastle fans. Fulham leading at home to Tottenham Hotspur when they've taken the lead in the Premier League this season. They have yet to lose a game. 11 times they've done it this season. They've won 9 of those and drawn just 2. They are pretty impressive when they do take the lead. Of course, they've had big victories in recent weeks at Old Trafford against Manchester United. They've beaten Arsenal this season. They have beaten some of the biggest and best teams. Are they going to add Tottenham Hotspur to that scalp? A first victory against Tottenham in the Premier League in 8 attempts. There's been a second goal in Germany. Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 2. Garassi with a second goal for the visitors as they look to comfortably extend their lead in the first minute of added time. There's been another chance for Manchester City. Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's come from a corner this time, a set piece. It's swung in, and it's Erling Haaland who rises above everybody else, and he nods it towards goal. It's a bit of a loopy header, and it's heading towards the 6-yard box. Dubravka's rooted to his spot, and it's Ruben Diaz who's able to get a little flick on, and Dubravka has to get down very fast, very sharp to save the goal from the ball from going in. But it's a good save. It's, again, Manchester City maybe running out of luck a little bit in terms of that. That maybe would have gone in earlier on in the game. 46 minutes played, nearly at half-time, but it is Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. The half-time whistle has gone at Craven Cottage. Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0, as it was when these two sides met in the Carabao Cup third round back in September. It needed a Richarlison equaliser after the break to take things to penalties in that one. How Tottenham will be looking for an equaliser in the second half of this one. How are they going to go about doing that as Sanderford?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to go against the Fulham odds of them with their fantastic record once scoring first this season in the Premier League. It's half-time here. It's Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And it was a great finish in the end from Rodrigo Muniz with a first touch, control and right foot strike across the goal. A great first time cross from Anthony Robertson, missing 3 Spurs defenders. Not one of them could get anywhere near it. It was a wonderful ball. Kevin De Bruyne-esque, I should say, with a great finish. And Fulham thoroughly deserved this so far, this lead so far. They've done super well. They've really controlled large parts of the game, and Tottenham Hotspur found it really difficult to get at Fulham's back for. Calvin Bassey, the Nigerian international, has been super composed at the back and kept the ball really well and pushed Fulham really high up the pitch to allow Fulham to dominate possession in that Tottenham third. It's half-time here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. The half-time whistle also gone at the Etihad. Bernardo Silva at the double to make it Manchester City 2, Newcastle. What's been a comfortable evening so far for the citizens, Matt Smith.
Yes, Manchester City oozed confidence on the ball as we knew they would. Newcastle trying to soak up the pressure. A little bit of luck rode with Man City early in the game. Bernardo Silva set up a shot on the edge of the box with his right foot. It deflected off Dan Burn and over Martin Dubravka to make it 1-0 City. Things got even worse for Newcastle and City's luck hadn't run out yet. Bernardo Silva had the ball wide right again, shifted onto his left this time, shoots. The ball glances off Sven Botman's head this time to beat Dubravka, 2-0 City. Alexander Isak had a huge chance for a goal. Dan Burn headed the ball back down from a Jacob Murphy cross. Isak's about 7-8 yards out. It's left-footed. He hits it into the ground. He must do better. And Ortega collects it and saves easily. I have to say, Fabian Schär is lucky to be on the pitch late on in added time in the first half. It's another late lunge on Erling Haaland, and the referee did have a little pause to think about it. Maybe VAR checked it, but no second yellow. I've seen replays. I think he should have been sent off for a second yellow, but it is half-time at the Etihad. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Be with us for all of the second half action there from the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City are on course to join Coventry City in the FA Cup semi-final. Of course, tomorrow we'll be bringing you the big game from Old Trafford, Manchester United versus Liverpool. There's also the small matter of Chelsea versus Leicester City to decide the other team that will make their way into the hat for the FA Cup semi-finals. Let's just recap the afternoon we've had so far on Football Live. Earlier on, Burnley held on for 3 crucial points against Brentford. They won by 2-1. Serge Reguilon was sent off after 9 minutes. A deliberate foul and a professional foul was deemed the verdict by the referee, which saw Brune Larsen open the scoring for Burnley after 10 minutes after a lengthy VAR check as well. Fofana then missed possibly what's described by Billy Andrews as the miss of the season before extended Burnley's lead on the hour mark. Then Burnley, as we know, they are normally the makers of their own downfall. Once they conceded a goal to Ayer with 7 minutes to go, they almost conceded a late equaliser, but Ivan Toney was adjudged to have fouled in the build-up to that equalising goal. So Burnley hold on for a crucial 3 points and close the gap to just 7 points from Nottingham Forest and potential safety in the Premier League this season. The other big game featured Nottingham Forest. They drew 1-1 away at Luton Town. Chris Woods, on his return from injury, gave the visitors the lead after 34 minutes. Menji thought it equalised just 6 minutes later, but that goal was ruled out for a handball in the build-up. And then a certain Luke Berry came up with the equaliser, came off the bench, equalised, another late leveller for Luton Town, another crucial point for Luton Town. It sees them remain in the drop zone of 3 points adrift of Nottingham Forest. But it is starting to tighten up at the bottom of the English Premier League. In the Liga, we saw Osasuna lose 4-2 at home to Real Madrid. A quite freak goal. Saw Vinicius Junior open the scoring after 4 minutes for Real Madrid. That lead lasted just 3 minutes as Ante Budimir levelled things up after just 7 minutes. Carvajal then restored the visitors' lead after 18 minutes, and then Diaz extended that lead further on the hour mark. Vinicius Junior scored his second goal just 3 minutes later, and in fairness to Madrid, they could have scored 5, 6 or 7 and it wouldn't have been unfair. Munoz did pull a late consolation back to give a bit of a flattering to the scoreline. It finished Osasuna 2, Real Madrid 4. That lead extended Real Madrid's gap at the top of the table to 10 points, and it remains 10 points at the top of the Liga as Girona are losing 1-0 away at Getafe. Big turnaround, second half turnaround needed from Girona if they're to close the gap on the league leaders. Barcelona play tomorrow. They're a further point back from Girona, but the lead at the top of the table for Los Blancos is a strong and healthy one. Sittard have taken the lead in the Eredivisie against Zwolle, and it's Sierhus with the goal to make it Sittard 1 and Zwolle 0. That's the latest score. In Serie A, with just over an hour gone, Salernitana 0, Lecce 1. In League on Nantes 1, Strasbourg 3 was a full-time score. Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 2 is a half-time score. Earlier on in the Bundesliga, there was a thrashing for Darmstadt at home to Bayern Munich and finished 5-2 in the end to the visitors. Darmstadt did take a shot lead in that game, but Musiala started the comeback. He scored twice. Harry Kane, Serge Gnabry, and Matthias Tell amongst the scorers for the visitors. Willemsen pulled a late consolation back for Darmstadt to remain rated to the bottom of the Bundesliga. Elsewhere, finished Heidenheim 1, Borussia Mönchengladbach 1, Mainz 2, Bochum 0, Union Berlin 2, Werder Bremen 1, and Wolfsburg 1, Augsburg 3. That brings you up to date with some of the big scores around the big games in Europe this evening on Football Live. It's time now to join FJ and the team over in Lagos. We'll bring you all the second half action of the English FA Cup quarter-final between Manchester City and Newcastle. Bring you a big second half from Craven Cottage in the fight for the Champions League places for Tottenham Hotspurs. They trail Fulham by a goal to 0. We'll see you in about 15 minutes. You've been listening to Football Live.
By NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, thank you very much, FJ. We'll get to your trivia in a second, but meanwhile, there's been a second goal at Craven Cottage.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And we said that Fulham don't lose when they take the lead in the Premier League. Well, they've doubled down on that with a second goal, a first ever goal in Fulham colours for Sasa Lukic. Here to describe it is Ash Sanderford.
And it's an absolute fantastic start from Fulham in this second half. It's Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And it's a great bit of build-up play from Fulham in the end. Iwobi, the Nigerian international, again, pulling the strings. Gets the ball in the middle of the park and he's got loads of time on his hands. He's popped it onto the right-hand side to Castagna. And Castagna just whipped it in. And it's Sasa Lukic. He's kind of steered it in off his knees. Really clever play from the midfielder in the end. Goes straight past the Spurs goalkeeper. No chance for the keeper. It's a great finish. Fulham ahead. Fulham double their lead. It's Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And it looks like Tottenham Hotspur are throwing away this possibility of going into the top 4 this evening.
It does indeed. A flying start to Fulham in the second half. It was a quite brilliant finish as well. Fulham have an injury concern with Pereira. He's down on the turf at the moment receiving treatment. FJ, just to go back to your trivia, the last time that Newcastle and Manchester City met in an FA Cup quarter-final was back in 2020. It was in front of no fans during those lockdown days, and it was Manchester City that came away victorious at St James's Park by 2-0. A Kevin De Bruyne penalty in the first half and a Raheem Sterling goal on the 68th minute. Comfortable victory for Manchester City on that occasion, as it is so far on today's occasion, where they lead by the same scoreline, 2-0. This time the goal scorer is Bernardo Silva. Here to tell us how the start of the second half is going is Matt Smith.
Yeah, Manchester City have slotted straight back into their normal routine. They are controlling this opening 5 minutes of this second half. Jeremy Doku again starts the second half as he finished the first, on top of everybody in the Newcastle shirt. He is fantastic. The ball is flicked from Phil Foden again. Very tricky. These two are linking up for the whole 50 minutes that have been played. It's Foden to Doku, Doku to Foden. This time Foden flicks it to Doku on the left side. It's on his left foot. It's maybe not his favoured foot, but he tries to drill it across the goal, and Dubravka is forced to make a very good save. I have to say, the Newcastle goalkeeper, despite the two deflections that he can't really do anything about, he's put in some good stops, some good saves. I'd like to wonder if the deflected goals hadn't gone in, this game, I'd argue, could be 0-0 still. 51 minutes played, Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Indeed, Matt, but it doesn't matter how the ball gets in the back of the net. It matters that it does get in the back of the net. And Manchester City have managed to do that on 2 occasions, as has Fulham. Both home sides in our featured games leading by 2-0. It seems like a good time to check in with John Kane and get the latest odds powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds power from Naira. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Manchester City are leading in the second half by 2-0 against Newcastle in the FA Cup. Man City are betting suspended on Man City. The draw is 23.0 and away win for Newcastle is 67.0. I'll come to goals now in a minute. Fulham just scored the second against Spurs, leading by 2-0. Fulham now are 1.25 for the win. The draw is 6.50 and away win for Spurs is 11.0. If you fancy it, let's go into the Man City against Newcastle. Goals wise, if you think it's be over 3.5 goals in the game, is 1.75, and if you think it's going to be over 4.5 goals, is 3.25. As for the game between Fulham and Tottenham, if you think it'll be over 3.5 goals in the game, is 1.75, and if you think it's over 4.5 goals, is 3.25. Some other games happening as well at the moment. In the second half in the German Bundesliga, it's Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 2. Hoffenheim odds are very high at the moment. They're 51.0 to turn it around. The draw is 17.0 and it's suspended for Stuttgart. In Spanish La Liga in the second half, kicked off between Getafe and Girona. Girona are losing away by 1-0. Getafe are 1.85 to maintain that win. The draw is 3.20 and away win for Girona is 5.0. 5.0 in fact, do beg your pardon. In Italian Serie A, about 5 minutes plus stoppage time, and the game between Salernitana and Lecce, the home side are losing by 1-0. Salernitana are 51.0 to turn it around, 7.50 for the draw, and 1.12, so more or less next to nothing for Lecce win. I can tell you, I was going to get you the odds of Braga, but they're already leading by 1-0 against Gil Vicente. They are 1.18 for the win in the Portuguese Primera. The draw is 6.50 and away win for Gil Vicente is 17.0. Of course, all these prices from NairaBet and is all subject to change.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. As always, John, let's go straight back to the Etihad Stadium. Another chance for the home side, Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's Erling Haaland, who hasn't really been firing on all cylinders today, that's for sure, but it's a big chance. Mateo Kovacic gives the Norwegian the ball just on the halfway line, and it's big strides of Erling Haaland. He's striding with the ball, and the Newcastle defenders are retreating and retreating. He gets all the way to just outside the box, shifts it onto his left foot, and it's a wicked shot at goal, but it just whistles past the post. It's a big chance, and he's done really well to get the ball so far up the field, to be fair, but I have to say it's not been one of those days for Erling Haaland. About 30 seconds ago, City had another chance. It was Guardiola this time. It was crossed in from Kovacic, I believe. Guardiola has headed it down, it's deflected, and it's bouncing around his feet, and he's leathered it with his left foot on almost like a sidewinder that you see the goalkeepers do. It's deflected and it whistles over the crossbar for a corner. So City really piling on the pressure. Newcastle yet to respond, I have to say. 55 minutes played. Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Adana Demirspor have retaken the lead at home to Sivasspor in the Turkish Super League. Atal opened the scoring for Adana Demirspor. That was before Quetta equalised 6 minutes after the restart. But they were level for just 3 minutes. Sari has restored the home side's lead. 2-1 is the latest score in that game. Elsewhere in the Turkish Super League, Besiktas 1 and Antalyaspor 2. Antalyaspor taking a 2-goal lead into the half-time interval, but Mucci has reduced one inside the opening minute of the second half. Let's go and check back in at Craven Cottage to see how Tottenham have responded to going 2 goals down to a Fulham side that just don't lose when they take the lead.
They certainly don't, and it's still Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And the only thing Tottenham are doing at the moment, they're just causing their own mayhem. They're just clattering into players. James Maddison's got himself a really horrible little knock, and he's struggling, really struggling in the middle of the park at the moment. He looks like he could be off at any moment. And I think it was probably Sarr just tried to bundle over Paulinho, and so it's been a quite messy 5 or 6 minutes or so. To be honest with you, Tottenham really need to get a foothold in this game and really change the game. I think the substitutions for Tottenham Hotspur, Timo Werner, I think is also warming up. Richarlison still on the bench, looking like he might not be called. Might be a little bit just too soon for him to come on, as he's just come back from injury. But yeah, Tottenham are really blowing this opportunity to get themselves into the top 4. Although 5th place might be enough, and another team at the moment, to be honest with you, that might have a little eye on this game is Manchester United. They'll be just, I think, 6 points or so behind Tottenham Hotspur with the same amount of games played if this stays the same. So Manchester United, although they're in FA Cup action tomorrow, they'll have a little eye on this match also if that stays the same. It's still Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
They will do indeed, and Fulham it's very, very close to getting a 3rd goal as well. Vicario's long legs keeping out Castagna and denying Fulham a 3rd goal in this one. 2-0 is never a safe lead, though, even for Manchester City, as Newcastle almost found out, Matt Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we said, City a little bit vulnerable on the break, and Newcastle break away. Alexander Isak has got the ball just on the edge of the box, and he's turning left and turning right, looking for an outlet. And Dan Burn, of all people, is to the left. And Dan Burn should really rifle a shot. Everyone's screaming it in to take the shot. But no, it's cleared away. Man City 2, Newcastle 0, 57 minutes played.
It was 2-0 at Craven Cottage. That's no longer the scoreline.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Vicario saved Tottenham's blushes just moments ago, but he could do nothing about this goal. It's now Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, and all 3 points are staying with the Cottagers, who have been in tremendous form in recent weeks. We take out that defeat to Fulham last time out. They thrashed Brighton here 3-0 last time they played at home. They beat West Ham by 5, and they are 3-0 up just after the hour mark at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, and the fairy tale dream of Champions League football could be coming to a premature end for Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go and hear about that 3rd Fulham goal with S. Sanderford.
Oh, yes, it's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, and game over. I don't think Ange will be coming back from this one. Tottenham fans in disarray, and it's come from a resulting chance from Timothy Castagna on the right-hand side. He made a great run with overlapping. It's a Iwobi put him in, and Castagna tried to strike the ball. It went out for a corner. In the end, from the resulting corner, back post, it was nodded back into the area, and I think it was Calvin Bassey kind of tried to swivel with his back to goal. He smashed it as hard as he could. It's come off the post, come off Vicario, the keeper, and I think it was Nunez just bundled the ball home. It probably would have been a penalty if it weren't bundled home, because to be honest with you, it was near enough taken out, and it was a great little poacher's goal from Nunez. Scores his, I think, 7th goal, now, in 7 games. Great forward play from him, and looks like Fulham now are home and dry. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Certainly is a comfortable afternoon for those Fulham fans in West London who have had a good record in derbies this season. They don't normally have a good record against Tottenham Hotspur in the league, but they are putting that to bed right now. There's still injury going on, and a yellow card shown to Yves Bissouma in that game as well. It's going from bad to worse for the Lily Whites at Craven Cottage. So let's go and check back in to the game at the Etihad, where Manchester City are leading by 2-0. Newcastle just getting themselves maybe a chance back into this one. Was that just the odd one chance, or are they starting to mount some form of a comeback in this match?
Yeah, we know that the chances come few and far between, and I don't think they're going to have another chance for another 10 minutes. City are again piling on the pressure, but the chance, that Newcastle had about 5 minutes ago, I was screaming at Dan Burn to take the shot. The ball is set perfectly for that left foot of Dan Burn to just pile drive it towards the goal. And instead he tries to shift it out wide, and Joe Willock is not on the same wavelength as him. And so therefore the ball is lost. So it's another chance really that goes a-begging. Newcastle are making, I think, all change. I think there's 4 changes coming on for Newcastle. I think they're all lined up, about to come on. So I will report on them as soon as I see them confirmed. 61 minutes played. Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
It's 4-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, we thought it was momentarily. The flag has spared Tottenham's blushes. Paulinho thought he'd got himself in on the act. It's going to be ruled out for offside, but boy, oh boy, Tottenham are very, very lucky. And it's the tightest of offside calls, interfering with the goalkeeper's line of sight. Tottenham are still just the 3 goals down. I was going to mention earlier on that Tottenham did lose an FA Cup game here back in 2011 by 4-0. History could well be repeating itself here. Raul Jimenez, who's just come on as the man who was offside. Tottenham are preparing to make a triple change. Timo Werner, Pierre, Emil Højbjerg and Bentancur coming on for Tottenham. Let's go and hear about that disallowed 4th goal with Sandefjord.
Oh, the Fulham fans went absolute wild. It is still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, but it's absolutely crazy, this game. In the end, it was a good ball in. I think it was from William, and Williams kind of cut the ball back in the end. He's kind of blazed it across the ball, and I think it was Paulinho smashed it into the bottom corner. But in the end, the referee, Rob Jones, has put his hand up, signalled for offside. Short-lived celebrations. And Muniz has got himself from that goal that he scored, he's got himself a knock. He's tried to play on, and now Raul Jimenez has come on for him. So, like for like, substitution up front. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM. Join Corner where the big boys play.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bet must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
And it's time to get straight into the action.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air. Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Coming up tomorrow on Football Live. Manchester United.
Please.
Against Liverpool.
Yeah!
Around the grounds, chasing the goal.
1, 2, 3, run it!
The Premier League, the Bundesliga,
Serie A, the Saudi Pro League, La Liga, French League 1.
Let it hit them.
the goals, the team news, all the updates, all the key action, scores from around Europe's top leagues, exclusive interviews, breaking news. This is Football Live. Let's get back to the action on Football Live.
Hit it, boys.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Dean Kilford.
Well, it's still Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0. It's still Tottenham Hotspur trailing 3-0 at Craven Cottage. But they've made a triple change as they look to try and salvage a bit of pride from this one, Sandefjord.
Yeah, they've made a triple change, Tottenham Hotspur. They've really got to do something about this, at least try and get themselves back in the game. Basuma's come off. He's just been booked as well. Højbjerg has come on. Sarr also, the central midfielder, has come off. More attacking threat now on the left-hand side for Timo Werner. I think then Johnson will probably go a little bit more central next to Heung-min Son. And James Maddison did receive a knock. I don't know how bad that knock was, but he's now come off too. And Rodrigo Bentancur has come off. And after that, there was a chance in the end for Brendan Johnson. It was a great ball in on the left-hand side from Song, got him down to the byline. He's cut the ball out, and all Johnson's got to do is make a little tiny bit of contact. It was moving off a tap-in, and he's misjudged it, and it's come off the edge of his toe, and it's gone out for a goal kick. Really disappointing, because a goal there, there's still plenty of time in this game for Tottenham Hotspur, and that would have been a great way to get himself back in the game. But unfortunately, he's missed it. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
It really was a big miss for Brennan Johnson. From all of 2 yards, he conspired to miss the target. Adana Demirspor have scored a third goal at home to Sivasspor. It's now Adana Demirspor 3, Sivasspor 1, and Nani has the goal to potentially seal all 3 points for the home side. It's finished in Serie A. Salernitana 0, Lecce 1. Let's go and hear about another big miss for Tottenham Hotspur at Craven Cottage.
Oh dear, Tottenham Hotspur. That was a huge opportunity. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And on the other end, it was Brennan Johnson that missed the chance before. This time, Brennan Johnson, the provider, on the right-hand side. And he's got acres of time. He's decided to, it was kind of a half cross, half shot. And he's hooked it towards the back post. And Timo Werner's just come on the pitch a matter of minutes ago. All he's got to do is make a little bit of contact, just a side-footed tap-in. And he's missed it completely. He's hit the ball. He's gone straight out for a goal kick. Another opportunity for Tottenham Hotspur within the space of a minute. Massive opportunity for them to get themselves back in the game. But unfortunately, Tottenham fans, they still haven't scored a goal. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
It's 39 games and counting since Tottenham last didn't score a goal. They are not going to get two bigger chances to extend that run to a big 40. Let's go back to the Etihad. We've kind of switched off on that one with all of the action going down at Craven Cottage. Newcastle United are still in this tie, trailing by 2-0 at the Etihad Stadium. And they've made a few changes to try and get themselves right back in it, Matt Smith.
Yes, they've made 4 changes just a few minutes ago. Lewis Hall on, Lewis Miley on, Elliot Anderson on, Miguel Almiron on, Gordon, Willock, Longstaff and Byrne all off. So it's all changed, and I have to say since those substitutions have come on, it has really been Newcastle that are just trying to get a goal back here. Alexander Isak again, another chance goes a begging. He's finding himself in the City box. It's a bit of a breakaway like we know that Newcastle are capable of, and we know that City are vulnerable on that breakaway, and Newcastle launch one. Isak's only really got to beat Akanji and shift it to the right and finish, and he just gets forced really far wide, and it goes out for a corner. So these little half chances, these little glimmers of hope that Newcastle have, they've really got to start taking these opportunities. We're only 69 minutes played. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. Let's go back to Craven Cottage. Fulham versus Tottenham Hotspur. It's such an open game considering the scoreline, Ash.
Well, it's classic Ange Postecoglou, to be honest with you. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham 0, but there's about 19 minutes left, but they're actually throwing literally the kitchen sink at Fulham and at the Fulham defenders. This was a bit of a half chance, to be honest with you, from Rodrigo Bentancur. Broke down on the left-hand side. Again, Timo Werner getting the ball, cutting in with his right hand on the right-hand side onto his right foot, and he just kind of put it, and Bentancur's got loads of time, and he thought about playing the ball down to Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side, and in the end, he tried to whip it across the goalkeeper, but the effort was pretty lame in the end, not enough pace on the whip, and Bernd Leno, to be honest with the ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, had plenty of time to move into the position and navigate himself to make an easy catch, to be honest with you, in the end, from Fulham perspective. So yeah, in the end, Fulham now just need to get hold of the game. Fulham are really trying to get themselves just a foothold and just trying to keep possession, but Tottenham will be going for it. As Ange says, if they're 3-0 down, they'll keep going and try and win the game. But it's still 18 minutes or so left. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ash. Stuttgart have scored a third goal away at Hoffenheim, and it's Jamie Leveling with the goal to make it Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 3. In the Bundesliga. It's about 25 minutes left to go in the Liga. Getafe 1, Girona 0. Girona haven't been able to find a way past this Getafe backline. A big shot could be on the cards, and a potential penalty should have been awarded to Girona, waved away by the referee. but so luck not on their side either. In the Turkish Super League, it's Demirspor 3, Sivasspor 1, Besiktas 1, Antalyaspor 2. And in the Eredivisie, we're about an hour play. Sittard 1, Spal 0. They're the latest scores in all the big games going on around Europe's big competitions. Fulham were just under a little bit of pressure despite their big lead, and they've just made a change in which to shore up this game, I believe, Ash Sanderford.
Yeah, a little bit of a tactical change, I think, for Fulham, just trying to take the sting out of the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 minutes or so, as Tottenham have gone all guns blazing in the last 5 or 10. So they've just tried to kind of slow the game down, and they've brought on, I think, Harry Wilson has now come on for Andreas Pereira. Had a good game, Pereira, the ex-Manchester United midfielder. He's done really well, kept position really tidy in the middle of the park, comes in off the left-hand side. So yeah, Fulham just trying to slow the game down now, just making that substitution, and just Harry Wilson hopefully will just kind of keep the ball for Fulham and try and see this game out. But if Spurs get a goal now within the next 3 or 4 minutes or so, it could be game on. But as it stands, 74 minutes in, it's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. As we approach the final 15 or so minutes plus stoppage time of our featured late games on Football Live, it's time to check in once more with John Kane and get the latest odds, powered by NairaBet.
Here's John Kane with all the very latest odds from NairaBet.
Yes, all the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. Manchester City is still leading Newcastle by 2-0, suspended for Manchester City. The draw has just gone down to 21.0 in 90 minutes, of course, and away win for Newcastle in 90 minutes. 101.0. Fulham Spurs. Fulham are leading by 3-0. Fulham are suspended at the moment. The draw is 26.0 and away win for Spurs is 67.0. In the Spanish La Liga, 67 minutes gone, it's Getafe 1, Girona 0. Getafe has gone down to 1.57. The draw is 3.40 and away win for Girona is 8.50. In the German Bundesliga, Hoffenheim are losing at home to Stuttgart by 3-0. Is suspended for Stuttgart. Hoffenheim are 26 for the draw and 101.0 to turn it around. If you look at some goals in the game between Manchester City and Newcastle United, if you think it's over 2.5 goals in the game, is 1.57, and if you think it's over 3.5 goals in the game, is 3.60. As for the game between Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur, which at the moment is 3-0 to Fulham. If you think over 3.5 goals is 1.50, and if you think over 4.5 goals is 3.0. Of course, all these prices from NairaBet, and it's all subject to change.
Thank you very much. As always, John, give us the latest odds powered by NairaBet. In the Eredivisie, Sittard have doubled their lead against Spal, and it's Justin Lomvic with the goal to make it 2-0 to Sittard in the Eredivisie. Let's go back to the Etihad. Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 0. Looks like it's going to be a slightly comfortable, if not emphatic, passageway through for the citizens into the FA Cup semi-finals, Matt.
Yeah, it looks that way. I have to be very honest. Manchester City are becoming a little bit complacent the past 6 or 7 minutes gone by. Newcastle just trying to find themselves in that City half, and they have been in. They've been camped in the City half really for the past 2 or 3 minutes. It's been Man City that have been trying to launch counter-attack after a counter-attack, while Newcastle have their little flurry. I have to say, Erling Haaland has really it's showing his poor body language. It's really not been one of those games for him. He's having to work back and try and get the ball. Any time the ball comes to him, he's not really worked for him. It's one of those games to forget. But City are dominant, 72% ball possession, 15 shots with only 5 on target. Newcastle have only had 2 shots all game. One of the shots came from Isak early on in the first half. So Newcastle are trying their very best, but again, against an elite Manchester City side, it is still Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. So Manchester City on course to maintain the trophy that they currently occupy, and leading by 2-0, where they will join Coventry City in the hat for the FA Cup semi-final. Of course, Newcastle United were in the Champions League this season. There's no chance of them qualifying for next year's competition. Manchester City are in this year's competition, where they'll face Real Madrid in the quarter-finals. Let's just join in John Kane once more to talk about the draw for the quarterfinals of the Champions League and what big games that have thrown up for us.
Yes, it's really, really good big games, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, we are in the quarterfinals, so we're not expecting anything less. All the big clubs have to meet up eventually. And, of course, it can't get bigger again. I think it's the third season in a row, Real Madrid against Manchester City. And, well, on the form of both teams is going to be very hard to predict. Man City trying to repeat what they did last season, and Real Madrid, who are the all-time champions, haven't they, of the Champions League. They know how to win it. It doesn't matter what kind of form they are in. They know how to win that trophy. It's definitely their baby. So it's going to be a big, big, big game. Comes in the 9th of April for that one.
Indeed. And what about Harry Kane returning to North London, taking on Arsenal? Bayern Munich, of course, have often been a real thorn in the side of the Gunners in the Champions League in, well, I say recent years, over the course of the last 15, 20 years or so.
Well, it's a leap year, Dean. So what I'm going to say is it's either going to be Harry Kane scoring a hat-trick at the Emirates and knocking Arsenal out and go on to win the Champions League, which is the only realistic trophy for Bayern Munich and the only realistic trophy for Harry Kane since leaving Tottenham, or it's a leap year where Arsenal finally going to beat Bayern and go and win the whole tournament. It's a big, big game. Both teams, I must say, both teams are on brilliant form. Arsenal are fantastic form, in the Premier League and in the Champions League. And that game against Porto is probably one of the best games I've seen all season. Absolutely brilliant game, and credit to both clubs and credit to Porto to going all the way to the Emirates and providing us with that entertainment. And as far as Bayern is concerned, yes, they are struggling behind Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen on their own world at the moment, haven't they? Even when they beat Karabakh, they were 2-0 down. There's 2 goals in injury time in the Europa League, and they gone through. But you can never take anything away from Bayern Munich anyway, because they're also a club who knows how to win the trophy, regardless of what their forms is. And to be fair, their form in the last game was absolutely brilliant as well.
And one team that are desperate to win this trophy, or some owners that are desperate to win this trophy, are Paris Saint-Germain. They've been paired up with Barcelona, a mouth-watering side that probably a couple of years ago would have been the tie of this round.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the big question, like you mentioned earlier, I think, is Mbappe going to play for PSG? And I think, you know what, to please the Real Madrid fans, which everyone seems to think that he's done deal, and he's going to Real Madrid next season, the best thing he can do is actually beat Barcelona. Just for that, the Real Madrid fans will love him, regardless of what he does next season with them. As for Barcelona, well, you know what, Xavi is under no pressure at the moment, isn't he? He is leaving end of the season, and all of a sudden, since he mentioned that, their performances in La Liga has improved, to be fair to him, and also improved in the Champions League, and they got into this stage. So maybe there's no pressure on Xavi at the moment. He's possibly never rule out Barcelona, regardless of how weak. But of course, Barcelona got plenty of injuries, isn't it? Literally, I mean, they're just counting the injuries. But the young player, Amal, absolutely brilliant. He's 16, 17. He's brilliant to watch, absolutely brilliant to watch. And if Real Madrid will say we will have Mbappe, Barcelona will be very happy to have Yamal in their team.
And finally, Dortmund's travel to Madrid for the first, Atletico Madrid, I should quantify, in that game, the other tie, the final tie of the round. I was just pausing there as I thought there was going to be another goal in the Fulham Spurs game, but still just an opportunity rather than a goal. And that rounds up the ties. 2 dark horses in this competition.
Absolutely. I mean, both clubs are absolutely brilliant, haven't they? You look at Atletico Madrid, and Diego Simeone when beating Inter, and he's missed Atletico Madrid, isn't he? And I know everyone was talking about him, but I've been feeling him for years. He just loves that club, and the club love him, the fans love him, and I think he already won the La Liga with them. I think it's just a matter of time when he's going to win the Champions League. And normally they play very negative football, don't they? I mean, they play that very defensive. Some people call it a boring football, but in the day, when they switch on, and they switched on against Inter Milan, and that was such a brilliant game as well to watch, and knocked out the semi-finalist of last season. As for Dortmund, well, you know what? They're absolutely brilliant to watch. I know they're not going to win probably the Bundesliga, but in the Champions League, and when you even watch them in the Bundesliga, they're absolutely brilliant to watch. Very, very exciting team with a very exciting manager as well.
Indeed, and a certain Jadon Sancho back to prove a point for Dortmund as well.
Absolutely. He was put in the Calder's knee, put on the shelf by Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag, and I think you can imagine it, can you? He's going back to Dortmund on loan, then he's actually going to score probably the winning goal or hat-trick in the final, and win the Champions League, where Eric Ten Hag will probably still think, it wasn't my fault, it was Jadon Sancho and his lack of commitment. Well, if Jadon Sancho end up winning the Champions League with Dortmund, I think Eric Ten Hag have to say something, well, maybe even apologise, to be fair.
I like your optimism.
I can't see it. I can't see it. No, I can't see it. But it's just worth saying, isn't it? Like, he's a good player. He's a very, very good player. And Dortmund are very known to bring all these English young players and develop them very, very well. Just look at Jude Bellingham. Absolutely brilliant player. He's probably the best midfielder in Europe. So they know where to pick them. They know how to play them, and I think Jadon Sancho has already been on a scoring sheet as well, didn't he, against PSV? So, he definitely feels at home, doesn't he, at Dortmund?
Does seem like he feels at home. It will be made to see whether he can propel his side into the Champions League semi-finals, where they would play either Barcelona or Paris Saint-Germain. Of course, we have the potential of an all-English semi-final if Arsenal and Manchester City could progress from their respective big games against Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Let's go back to the Etihad, the FA Cup game between Manchester City and Newcastle United. Last we heard, Newcastle made a couple of changes and were pushing for potentially a consolation against a rather complacent Manchester City side. But they've made a couple of changes since we were last with you, Matt.
Yeah, it's been a change for both sides. Oscar Bob has come on for Jeremy Doku. I'd argue that Jeremy Doku has been one of City's better players in this game. So Oscar Bob's already causing problems in the last 2 or 3 minutes for the Newcastle defenders. He's very, very sharp. And Newcastle, again, just trying to freshen things up at the back. Emil Kraft is on for Sven Botman. But in terms of threat going forward, Newcastle, they've gone off the boil a little bit again. 84 minutes played. City are still dominant. City 2, Newcastle 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Another comfortable victory on the card from Manchester City. How often are we used to saying that in recent years? Let's go back down to Craven Cottage. Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. A comfortable afternoon for Marco Silva and his men. And Marco Silva, who's never tasted victory in his 8 games in charge of various clubs against Tottenham. That's about to change this evening. Let's go and hear how this game's gone on since we were last with you, Ash Sanderford.
Yeah, it certainly has, and it's definitely going to change because it looks like Fulham are going to wrap these 3 points up. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And a couple of changes for Fulham. They're just trying to really kill the game now, but they have retained possession of the ball since the last 5 or 6 minutes or so. Alex Iwobi, the Nigerian international, had a fantastic game this afternoon. Looked really busy on that right hand side. He's come off, and Bobby De Cordova-Reid has come on, and Timothy Castagna with a great performance in that right back position. Kind of played as a right wing back today. He's come on, and Kenny Tete has now come on. So Tottenham Hotspur looking like now that they're really struggling to get themselves anything out of this game. Really poor debut for Dragusin for his debut at centre-half today. He'll be really disappointed. It looks like Tottenham are really missing Van der Ven at the back. It's still Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, 88 minutes in.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Let's go and check back in at the Etihad Stadium. And Matt Smith, we spoke to you before the game about the inclusion of Erling Haaland in the starting 11, saying that he was potentially in form and how he could use this game to maybe recaptivate some of that form. It doesn't look like it's quite gone according to plan, has it?
No, goodness me, I think it's a bit of an understatement. It's really been, like I've said before, it's one of those games to remember for the Norwegian. It's every touch he has. I get that, the rain is pouring down, the pitch is slick. Of course, it's going to be a little bit tough for him. Just as I'm speaking now, Erling Haaland is being taken off in the 86th minute for Julian Alvarez. So it's not been a good day for Erling Haaland. He's not happy with his performance. He wouldn't be happy, obviously, with not getting a goal. And really, he shouldn't be happy with that. It's really not good enough. His hold-up play's been good. He's obviously very physical against those Newcastle defenders, but he was well off it today. Every touch seemed to be loose. Every shot seemed to go wide. Hasn't happened for the Norwegian. 86 minutes played. Man City 2, Newcastle 0.
Matt, do you think he's still suffering a hangover from that injury? Of course, he missed about 6 or 7 games just around the Christmas period. Has that had an impact? He's been brought back too soon, do you think?
I'm not sure if it's a matter of too soon. I think it's just, goodness me, I guess that he is a big confidence player. The chances that went a begging today for him and the chances that he's had in the past games, I can remember back when City were playing Chelsea and he had a huge chance from about 4 yards out, and I'm sure he missed it. So, I think he's a big confidence player. He just needs a good goal, a good run of form to get him back onto his goal-scoring form. It's certainly not the Haaland we're used to seeing, and he's certainly not happy with how he's playing, that's for sure.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Matt. Into the closing stages of that one at the Etihad Stadium. It's going to be 7 minutes of added time at Craven Cottage, where Fulham are certainly in the ascendancy by 3 goals to 0. Tottenham, all they've really got left to play for is to continue this impressive record of scoring in games. It's 39 and counting, but that run looks like it could be coming to an end. They've got 7 additional minutes of injury time in which to find a goal, but they did have a big chance through Richarlison to score, didn't they, Ash?
Yeah, they certainly did, and it was an unlucky chance for Richarlison in the end because he hasn't really had much to feed off on the right-hand side, and he's just tried to get the ball off. I think it was Bentancur. He just played him in, and he just struck it with his right foot. It was a great opportunity for him, but in the end, it was just a bit of a tame effort. And Richarlison, he's one of those players that once he's playing regular week in, week out, he can be really on form. He's had a great run of form just before he got injured, and then Timo Werner turned up, got himself injured, and hasn't been really in the team for the past, I'd say 6 weeks, 5 weeks or so. So yeah, it's been a bit disappointing for him with that tame effort, and he'll be looking to get himself fitter and stronger and get himself back in that starting lineup when Spurs were doing really well just a few weeks back. But yeah, I don't think they're going to get anything out of this game. There's about 6 minutes of stoppage time left. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Just a reminder earlier on Football Live in the English Premier League, it finished Burnley 2, Brentford 1. A big game down at the bottom of the English Premier League. Luton Town got a late equaliser at home to Nottingham Forest. It finished a goal apiece, and still 3 points separates the Hatters and the Reds in that game. In La Liga, we saw Real Madrid extend their lead at the top of the La Liga to 10 points with a 4-2 win, a double for Vinicius Junior away at Osasuna. That victory compounded with Girona losing 1-0 away at Getafe. 6 minutes still to go in that one. Getafe 1, Girona 0. Santiago's goal, and the 33 minutes the difference between the two sides. In the Bundesliga, we heard how Harry Kane and Musiala inspired a come-from-behind win as Darmstadt lost 2-5 at home to Bayern Munich. Currently, it's Hoffenheim 0, Stuttgart 3, and that result for Stuttgart would see them climb and alleviate those potential relegation fears. In the Turkish Superliga, Adana Demirspor are down to 10 men. They lead by 4 goals to 1. But Atal has just seen a second yellow card, and will see out the remainder of this game a man light. Elsewhere in the Eredivisie, it's about 15 minutes left to go. Sittard 2, Sval 0 is a latest score. That brings you up to date with all the scores going on. So Besiktas 1, Antalyaspor 2 is also a latest score. There's 3 minutes of added time to be played at the Etihad, where Manchester City are leading Newcastle by 2 goals to nil. Let's go and check back in with Matt to see if there's any chance of Newcastle putting off a potential grandstand finish.
Absolutely not, Dean. It's a training game for City for the last 2 minutes. They've been just playing around with them, almost walking around the pitch. It's something you'd see. It's almost like adults versus kids. Newcastle are trying their very best. They're working their socks off. Eddie Howe's got them well trained, but City are levels above it, and Newcastle are nowhere near City standard. 91 minutes played. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. So let's go back down to Craven Cottage. Can Tottenham Hotspur find a way onto the score sheet and preserve this record of scoring in consecutive games? It doesn't look likely, does it, Ash?
No, it certainly doesn't. It looks like Tottenham are going to be going home without those 3 points and will not be getting themselves into the top 4. They'll probably stay 2 points behind Aston Villa and stay in 5th place this evening, which will be really disappointing for those Tottenham fans. They'll be really looking forward to tonight, getting themselves back in and amongst the top 4, and they're looking like they're not going to do that. On the other hand, as for Fulham, they'll be looking up the league, to be honest with you. Depending on what happens in Europe this season, 8th place might be a position where you might be able to get yourself into that Europa Conference League space. So they're not too far off that for them. They're only about 4 points behind. So with a little bit of good run of form, with, I'd say, 10 to 9 games left, they might have a chance of sneaking themselves into that 8th position with only 4 points behind that place. So yeah, Fulham are onwards and upwards, and they'll be looking forward to securing this victory here at Craven Cottage. Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0, about 2 minutes of stoppage time left.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Another yellow card at the Etihad, Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's a bit of frustration, I think, on Almiron's part for Newcastle. Foden receives the ball and Almiron is about 30 seconds late. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get my point. Phil Foden's far sharper. Almiron lunges in and catches Phil Foden, and it's a definite yellow card. Into the 93rd minute now, Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0.
Thank you very much. A double yellow card at Craven Cottage. Harrison Reed and Rodrigo Bentancur getting into a bit of tete-a-tete. Both sides, both teams getting yellow card. They're still going at it as well. And a full-time whistle has gone at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 0. Here to break down a comfortable passageway through to the semi-finals is Matt Smith.
Well, Manchester City ooze confidence on the ball. They controlled possession. Newcastle tried their very best to soak up the pressure until a little bit of luck rode with City. Bernardo Silva set up a shot on the edge of the box with his right foot. It deflected off Dan Burn and over Dubravka to make it 1-0. City's luck hadn't run out. Bernardo Silva had the ball wide right again. He shifted it onto his left this time. Shot. The ball glanced off Sven Botman's head this time to beat Dubravka. 2-0 to Manchester City. Alexander Isak had a huge chance for a goal back. Dan Burn headed a Jacob Murphy cross down towards the floor. Isak hit his left-footed shot into the ground, but he must have done better. He put it anywhere apart from down the keeper's throat, and it would have been a goal back. Dan Burn and Isak both had good chances after the half-time break to grab a goal back, but on both occasions lacked in the final product. 2 deflected goals for Manchester City, but it's not how you score them, as long as you score them. It's full-time at the Etihad. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 2. Man City become the first team to reach the semi-finals in 6 consecutive campaigns.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Matt Smith. So Manchester City join Coventry City in the hat for the FA Cup semi-final. By the time you join us tomorrow on Football Live, where we will have the outcome of the Chelsea versus Leicester City FA Cup. In fact, we'll be bringing the commentary, bringing the goals off that game, as well as the Manchester United versus Liverpool game. Aston Villa can extend the lead to 5 points over Tottenham Hotspur, have just lost by 3-0 at Craven Cottage. Let's go and hear from Ash and get a full-time report from Craven Cottage.
Yeah, it's finished here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Really disappointing for Tottenham Hotspur not getting that chance to go back into the top 4. In the first half, just before half-time, 3 minutes 4, great finish from Rodrigo Muniz with a great cross from Anthony Robertson. Great finish in the end, putting Fulham right in the lead just before half-time. In that second half, it was backs to the wall for Tottenham Hotspur. Quick fire start from Fulham with a goal from Sasha Lukic and a great cross from Timothy Castagna in the end, and that put Tottenham really to the sword. And in the end, a couple of minutes after that, I think it's about 5 or 6 minutes or so, Rodrigo Muniz poacher's goal in the end with a bundled deflection of the left-hand post from Calvin Bassey with Rodriguez. In the end, Muniz getting himself injured, but scoring his second goal of the afternoon. Fulham well-deserved winners. Calvin Bassey was fantastic, the Nigerian international at the back, and Fulham now are confident that they can go into the next games and maybe push themselves up the table. Tottenham Hotspur really disappointed, but they'll be looking to get themselves back in action in that next game to try and huge above Villa. It's finished here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Ash. Yeah, disastrous afternoon for Tottenham Hotspur, but brilliant for Fulham as they look for a Europa League place. Do join Alex Guilford and the team from 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for a big another afternoon on Football Live. We've had some great games. Burnley 2, Brentford 1, Luton 1, Forest 1, Osasuna 2, Real Madrid 4, Fulham 3, Spurs 0, and Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 0. Thank you on behalf of all of our fantastic team of reporters bringing you all the goals as they go in. Thank you very much to John Kane bringing us the latest odds powered by NairoBet. I've been Dean Kilford. It's time to hand you over to FJ and the team, and we'll see you again real soon.
You have been listening to Football Live, exclusive to Brula FM, sponsored by NairoBet.